All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to Wednesday night class. I know the cameras are close, and that's good. So maybe we don't have to speak loud or talk loud. Hopefully, the camera can pick everything up. Good to see everybody in person in class. Everybody that came in the flesh. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody online. I know we got Passover coming up, which is very critical. The Most High has given us another year. It is, it's the start of a new year, and we're thankful that the Most High gives us that opportunity to make adjustments in our flesh and our minds and our bodies, and also to fellowship with one another at another ceremony held in Rochester, New York. If you're not on the list, try to get there. Reach out to Stream of Wisdom in Rochester, see if there's any space available. But hopefully we'll see everybody there and fellowship with them real soon. Shalom to everybody in Houston, Stream of Wisdom Houston, Quatazop in Houston, Kazaki in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to Kawakab down in Guatemala, and Amiatazai in London, and all their congregation. And hopefully their congregation is doing well in California and Atlanta and all over the world. And it's good to see everybody so far. I know we've come off a lot of relationship topics and interpersonal topics. A lot of our classes deal with the inner man, the inner way of thinking, the heart, the mind of men and women, and we're not going to deviate too far away from that. But there's something that the Most High provides us that is the spark and the purpose of this class is the reason why correction is necessary, because correction builds that inner man, and it builds that inner person and the inner quality of the character of an individual. So the title of the class is called "Correction is Difficult to Swallow, but Necessary." All right, the title of the class is "Correction is Difficult to Swallow, but Necessary." All right, now I know Karai is not here, the definition king, but somebody else give me the definition of necessary for 1828.
Necessary. 1828.
Mm-hmm.
That must be. That cannot be otherwise.
It says correction. It says the title. It says correction is difficult to swallow, but necessary. Necessary means that which must be, but is what?
That cannot be otherwise.
It said it cannot be otherwise. So there's no other way around making us better people. There's no way around it. Each and every one of us must have or endure correction. There's no other way of making you sharper or sharpening that inner man. Read on.
Indispensably requisite.
It's a requirement. It's indispensable, meaning it's a must-have. It's mandatory. In order for us to be better, we have to receive correction. It's a must. All right? Anything else?
Indispensable. Essential. That cannot be otherwise without preventing the purpose intended.
So it says it's essential for development.
Unavoidable.
There you go. Unavoidable. That's good enough. It's essential. It's unavoidable. It's mandatory. It's of a necessity. It's a requirement. So that if we're going to be better people, one thing that has to come along with that is correction. And I know I myself, I got lit up by my neighbors a couple weeks ago. For my dogs got out and terrorized the community, and my neighbors let me have it for about 30 minutes straight. And they ripped me up about, they got it on video. They got my dogs on video, on camera. They brought the camera out. They showed me on their iPad, look at your dog chasing the mailman. Look at your dog chasing the old lady that's in a walker. Look at your dog chasing the joggers. Look at your dog chasing everybody. Look at me with the cane trying to hit your dogs to get them off the old ladies. I got ripped up for about 30 minutes straight by some old folks, and my dogs got out. But I needed that, because if I didn't take it serious enough in keeping them restrained, ain't no telling what would happen. There's a new law that's if your dogs are off the leash, there's an off the leash law. It's $4,000 fine.
Yeah.
That's for the new off the leash law. I didn't know nothing about that. Then if your dog bites somebody, that's a felony.
Yep.
They constitute a dog bite is a felony now. So I would have been a criminal without even knowing it, just because my dogs got out, because I was a little careless with their restraint. But after getting lit up for about 30 minutes straight, I went to Walmart. I bought some cables and some chains and some adequate locks. And I needed that tongue lashing from my neighbors. They needed to light me up a little bit.
Got some definition of correction.
God.
There's reproof. It says reproof, expressing shame. Come on, bro. The expression of blame or disapproval.
Yeah, it's needed, and we need it. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been as careful and cautious the next time of how my dogs got out and the way they got out. You know, so it made me more responsible. It made me more accountable for their actions because they're my dogs, so I'm responsible for them. So, you know, most high forbid, I'm glad, you know, nobody got hurt, but that could have been a disaster. But I needed that correction, just like all of us need correction. You know, so let's start off with Proverbs chapter 21, verse 2, because we're going to show why it's so necessary. Because like the title of the class, correction is difficult to swallow, but necessary. Let's read that, Proverbs chapter 21, verse 2.
God. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 2. Every way of man is right in his own eyes.
Why is correction needed?
Every way of man is right in his own eyes.
Why is correction difficult to swallow?
Every way of man is right in his own eyes.
Why do we have trouble receiving correction?
Every way of man is right in his own eyes.
Every way of man is right where?
In his own eyes.
Because if you leave it up to us, we don't need what?
Correction.
We don't need correction if you leave it up to us. If you leave it up to how we think, how we operate, how we do things, we don't need anybody telling us anything about our nature, our thoughts, about how our doings, our goings, our whereabouts, our mode of operation, our responsibility level, our work ethic. We don't need any help whatsoever. This is naturally ingrained in the mind of every man and woman, is that I know what I'm doing. And we're pre-programmed that way, unfortunately, to think that we don't need nobody's help. We don't need outside influences. We don't need outside adjustment. We don't need anybody looking at us at all. Because in each and every one of our own minds, read it again.
Come, Proverbs 21 and 2. Every way of man is right in his own
He
eyes.
said every way of man is right where?
In his own eyes.
Now we know the Bible is not a lie, so we know this is true. He said every way of man is right in his own eyes, and this is why it's so hard to hear advice. This is why it's so hard to get adjusted and let somebody adjust you. Because in your mind, you're right. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong at all. I don't see the problem. What's the problem? Why are you tripping? Why are you inflamed? Why are you making this a big deal? Why are you going on and on and on about the way I do things? Because in my mind, hey, I don't see nothing wrong with the way I do things. But that's the mind frame that's already inside of us. Read on.
Come. But the Lord pondereth the heart.
But while we say, hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know where you get this from. You're making this up. But the Most High knows Most High sitting back and is watching us, and he's the one that can dive deep and look at us and our intentions and our actions and know and see flaw. I see flaw in you. I see mistake in you. I see error in you. But you let us tell it? Hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you get this from. He said, but the Most High sees the what?
But the Lord pondereth the heart.
Right. Read on. No. Stop right there. Go. The same thing. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. We'll say the same thing.
Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
But you know what? What kind of man only depends on his way of thinking? Read it again. It says what?
The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
It says the way of a what?
The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
But to think that you're right all the time, it just shows that you're a what? You're a fool. Only a fool will actually think that they're right in their way of thinking, and that there's no need for correction. But this is one of the reasons why it's so difficult for us to be adjusted and for us to be advised. He says the way of a fool is what?
Is right in his own eyes.
Read.
But he that hearkeneth unto counsel.
It said, but if you can put your pride aside. Put your pride down just for a minute. Put your high and mighty thoughts down just for a minute and do some self-analyzation and do some inventory and ask yourself, was I wrong? Could I be wrong? Did I make a mistake? How often do I make mistakes? When do I make mistakes? Is there something more to what they're saying than just making me feel ashamed, like the definition of that I just pulled of reproof or correction? You're just trying to make me feel bad. Or is there something to you making me feel bad? Is there a reason why you're trying to make me feel bad by what you're telling me? He says, a fool is right in his own eyes. He says, but what?
Says, but he that hearkeneth on the counsel is wise.
So you got those that withstand and withdraw themselves from correction, and then you got those that will consider correction and embrace correction. A fool won't do it, but somebody that's wise will. They'll say, hey, maybe there's something to this, and they're trying to get me to see something about myself. There's a difference, right? So what he's saying is, you got to get rid of that aspect of the part of you that tells you, I know, I get it, I know, I get it. Save your breath. I already got it.
I save your breath.
Save your breath. I already got it. I know.
I've heard that before.
I've heard it already. Heard it 1,000 times. I got it. You got to get rid of that part of yourself that, because everybody has it in them.
Yeah.
I know. You don't. I got it. No, you don't. You don't have it.
You'll finish the verse.
Yeah, I already know where you're going. I already know what you're going to say. I already know why you're telling me what you're telling me. I can read your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to get rid of that aspect because it's in each and every one of us. And that's the foolish part of us that tells us we know. I know. I already know what you're trying. No, you don't. But we do this. Each and every one of us. It's in all of us. Man, woman, and child. That ability to say, I already got it. No need for you to try to tell me something. I already know right from wrong. I got it. That bit of I know it all is in everybody. That's not pinpointed one individual. Each and every one of us are guilty of this. We all are. We all think that what we do is sufficient. We all think that what we do is right. We all think that the way we operate is the standard of how everything should be done. And it's wrong. Only a fool, though, will believe that. He said, but a wise man will do what?
A wise man says, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise.
He said, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is what?
Unto counsel is wise.
So now, why do we do this? I want you to read this for me, Delia. A little bit of follow. I want you to read page 683. Why do we inject the idea that I know, I got it. You ain't got to tell me nothing. I've already heard it. I already understand it. You're wasting your breath. Save your time. You're preaching to the choir. You're doing all these things. Read this for me right here. Point 11. Line 11.
But all these things are, as I have said before, the inventions of men.
It says these things, the idea that I know already, I don't need no help, I got it. He said these things are the inventions of what?
Of men.
He said these are the inventions of men. Men create the notion that I don't need you to tell me anything. And men invent this because it's already in us. Read on.
Whose intellects.
It says whose what?
Intellects.
Well, your intellect is your what?
Your mind.
Your mind, your thinking.
Processing.
How you process your thoughts. Your intellect, go ahead.
Are obscured.
It says their intellect is what?
Obscured.
What does that mean when your intellect is obscured?
It's twisted.
Twisted, it's off, it's tainted, it's deformed, distorted. But that's when the intellect is off. Read on.
They're obscure. Dark. Destitute of light.
Right. And we know what dark and destitute light is. Read on.
Not clear.
Not clear. But read the line.
It says, I have said before, the inventions of men whose intellect are obscured,
It's not clear, cloudy. Read on.
and who are slaves to opinions.
It says, a person that says, I know, I got it, I don't need your help, I don't have to listen to your advice, I got my own counselors.
Yeah.
He says they're a slave to what?
To opinions.
He said they're a slave to what? Is it just any opinion or their own opinion? They're a slave to their own opinion. Read.
Utterly under the influence
It says, and they're utterly, completely under the influence. Go ahead.
of the outward senses.
And they're controlled by what?
The outward senses.
Another word for our senses is what?
Emotion.
Emotions and what? Feelings. I feel, or how I look at it, how I see things. He says, I'm controlled by my opinion. I'm a slave to my opinion, and my opinion is what rules and dominates how I see things, because I use emotion to see things. I see feelings to see things. I don't like the way you're making me feel. So because I don't like the way you're making me feel, I don't have to listen to you. Because I don't like the way you make me feel. He said this is a person that's a slave to their opinion, and this is the downside or the dark side of their intellect. Read on. Somebody had their hand up though. Who had their hand up? Okay.
Whose judgment is continually
It says their judgment, how they see things, is continually what?
corrupted.
It says this is what corrupts everybody's ability to see things straight. Because we use feelings to navigate through life. We use feelings to determine whether we're going to listen to somebody or not. I don't like how you're making me feel. You're making me feel bad. So I'm not going to hear you. I don't want to hear what you got to tell me. Because you're just stepping on me. You're raining on my parade. So therefore, because I don't like the way you make me feel, I'm not listening to you. I'll listen to myself. I will only take advice from me. Read on.
Who are brought before its tribunal.
It says everybody holds court in their own mind.
That's true.
Everybody holds court in their mind. I've already concluded that you're guilty in my eyes. You're not deserving of respect from me. So because you make me feel bad, you don't deserve my respect. So therefore, I'm not going to listen to you. Everybody holds court in the brain. But all they're using is sensitive tools to come up with that idea. Sensual tools, emotional tools to come up with that idea that of who and what they will listen to. Read on.
And as such is unstable.
It said, but these individuals are what?
Unstable.
So the same individuals that cannot receive instruction because they're a slave to their opinion and they only go off emotion, these same individuals, pay attention. They are also what?
Unstable.
Is there a reason why that instability and inability to listen go hand in hand? Because they're emotional. They're irrational. So of course they're going to be unstable because the council would have stabilized them. Sorry about that, man, mosquitoes. The council would have stabilized them. The council would have actually helped them. The council would have actually allowed them to see things clearly and see things straight. But the reason why we can't see things straight, because we let our emotions get in the way. And because our emotions get in the way, this is what tells us to tell people, back away from me. I don't need your help. I got it. I got it. I got it. Read on.
But they ought, if they had really been at all anxious for the truth.
It said, but if they really wanted to know the truth, instead of rejecting what other people have to offer them, as far as advice and counsel, if they really wanted the truth, read on.
Not to show themselves, in respect of their minds, inferior to those who have been diseased in their bodies.
He says, if they really wanted the truth, he says they're equivalent mentally to a handicapped person physically.
Wow.
I'll say it again. If you understand what he's saying Because a person rejects the truth. They reject counsel. They're clouded by their emotions. They don't want to receive advice because they're a slave to their own opinion. They show themselves that mentally they are worse than a handicapped person is physically. You understand that? So
I'm disabled. I'm mentally disabled.
I'm mentally disabled.
Because there's a physical disability, and this opinion base is a mental or spiritual disability.
Yes. But I show myself, because I deny counsel and deny advice, I show myself as somebody that's intellectually impaired.
Yeah.
Worse than a person that's physically crippled or handicapped. Because I don't want to hear the truth about me. Read.
For such invalids.
So read it again from that point.
All
But
right.
if.
Okay. But they ought, if they had really been at all anxious for the truth, not to show themselves in respect of their minds inferior to those who have been diseased in their bodies.
Read.
For such
Now slow down. For what?
for such invalids.
It says for such what?
Invalids.
It says Philo called these people invalids. He calls them invalids because the way they think is invalid. Because my thought process is invalid. I only use emotion. I'm a slave to my opinion, and I can't let anybody tell me anything. He called these individuals invalids. Read.
Out of their desire for good health.
It says they're smart enough. These people that are invalid intellectually are smart enough to know what's good for their health, what's good for their bodies. So they're smart enough to know that if I got a pain in my feet, or I got a pain in my tooth, I got a pain in my back, I got a pain in my neck, I got a pain in my stomach, I'm smart enough to do what?
It says, our desire for good health, commit themselves to the physician.
So these people that think this way are smart enough to go to a doctor to get some advice and to get some therapy and to get some medicine and to get some treatment and to get some help. They're smart enough to recognize, hey, something's wrong with my body. Read on.
But these other men hesitate to get rid of the disease of the soul.
It said, but they're not smart enough to get rid of the disease of the what?
Of the soul.
Of the soul. So he says, these individuals that reject counsel, reject information, reject advice, they're smart enough to go see a doctor when their body's not functioning right. But they're not smart enough or conscious enough to go to a physician of the soul to get the spiritual health and well-being and remove themselves of the disease of the soul, which is what? Read on.
Ignorance.
What is the disease of the soul?
Ignorance.
They won't go to the doctor to get rid of their what?
Ignorance.
They won't go to the doctor to get rid of their ignorance. But they're smart enough to go to the doctor to get rid of their back pain. If they're smart enough to go see a doctor for the back pain, why wouldn't they go to somebody that deals with the mind and the spirit to get the ignorance out of their soul? It's pride. He says, so you know they're smart enough. You know that they know, hey man, my tooth been bothering me all week. Man, I got to get this thing looked at. Man, my eyes, man, I've been getting headaches. I've been getting headaches all day. I've been seeing double vision. I need to get my eyes checked. I've been getting headaches. I'm getting nauseated. I'm smart enough to do those things when the time calls for me to get some treatment. But I ain't smart enough to realize, hey, there's an ignorant aspect about me on the way I look at life and the way I look at people. How come I don't get my ignorance checked? I'm just
like any other pain.
Yeah, like any other pain. How come I don't go get my ignorance looked at? You ain't set up an appointment to get your ignorance removed? You at least do some research, man. How do I remove ignorance? How do I stop thinking foolishly?
Yeah.
The foolish part is I think I'm right. I think I'm always right. That's the foolish part. Because we just read that in Proverbs 15.
Yeah, Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise.
Yeah, but you know what? There's counselors that will remove the ignorance from you. You're smart enough to go to the doctor for the physical, but you're not smart enough to go to the counselors to remove what's ignorant about you. That's what doesn't make sense. That's what doesn't. There's ignorance aspects of us. There's things about us that we don't know, that we should know, and that we could know if we just simply went and sought advice and sought counsel and sought some help. There's all kind of things that we could be filled in upon in order to get some understanding about the way things are done. Read on.
By becoming the associate.
It says, I can do this. I can at least remove my ignorance by becoming an associate of what?
Of wise men.
Who should I go to then to remove ignorance?
Wise men.
So, but first of all, you'd have to look at these men as wise. You got to look at these men as capable to help me remove my ignorance. You got to look at these men as competent. But as long as you think in your mind, I got it, I don't need no help, I don't need nobody telling me what to do, I'm a grown man or I'm a grown woman, then your ignorance will never be removed. Your ignorance will stay with you. Yes, sis.
It's like it says, like, when a man's mind is sometimes, when a man's mind is sometimes going to tell him more than 7 options. So you can have 7 people in Ecclesiastes would be telling you something about yourself and be so strongly believing that you might really listen to 7 people and understand that.
Right. It just shows you the level of pride that's in each and every one of us that doesn't allow us to open ourselves up to get advice or to get instruction. He said they should do what?
Become the associates of wise men.
Go ahead.
From whom they might not only learn to escape.
It says, from these wise men, they'll learn to escape what?
To escape ignorance.
Go ahead.
But they might also acquire that peculiar possession of man, namely knowledge.
It said if you stop thinking you know everything, and you can accept the fact that you don't know everything,
God.
and you can accept the fact that you need help with the way you look at life and look at people and to look at everything around you, you would embrace counselors. You would embrace wise men. You would embrace what they have to offer you, and they could help adjust that ignorance that's in you and help pull it out, and also put something back in you, which is knowledge. They can put some knowledge back in you. So they could swap out the ignorance and put the knowledge in you. But I know to go to the doctor to go get a cap on my tooth, or to get a tooth removed and get an implant. So I know that the tooth is rotten. So I need an implant. So I need a prosthetic tooth. I know to do that. And you need to swap out a porcelain tooth for a rotted tooth. I know to do that. Or go put on some bifocals, put on some extra eyes. I know to do that. How come I don't know to remove my ignorance? Because I don't see the way I think is ignorant. And that's the problem. I don't see the way I think is wrong. That's the problem. Therefore, I never go to the doctor. Therefore, I never go get help. Therefore, I never go get an ignorance checkup. I don't get it checked up. I don't get an assessment and a clean. I don't get a clean bill of health from my advisors. David said, "Let the righteous what? It should be a what?
Kindness.
It should be a kindness. How does he look at it?
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing, man. It's good. It's a benefit. It's a bonus. Let me check to make sure that I'm not doing things the wrong way. But the problem is we have issues with that. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. There we go.
Yeah, let me get that. Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
That's why it's important to get instruction from a child, so you can become familiar with being adjusted.
So you're saying that there's a process that we're supposed to be inoculated with from our youth anyway.
Con.
So it wouldn't make it so hard when we're, teenagers or adults.
Con. Absolutely. It wouldn't be so difficult because I would have already been getting used to getting familiar with people telling me what I need to do to be better. I'm familiar with the fact that I don't know it all. I'm very familiar with that, and I'm acquainted with the fact that I need help. And I don't run from correction. He says, do what?
It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Now I want to read on. Same thing, same page. Follow. I want to read on. He says, train up a child in the way he shall go, and when he is older, he shall not what?
Depart from it.
Now, what does Follow say about that? Same chapter. Yeah, line 15.
Okay. Those men, therefore, act worthily, who in every case and everywhere have resolved to dedicate the whole of their youth.
It says, so those that know and that can recognize, I don't know every damn thing. And if I could recognize this at an early age, I'm better off knowing this early and recognizing this early than when I am as I get older. It's hard to instill. Christ said you can't put new wine in what? An old bottle. He said because the new wine it will make the old bottle what? Burst. He said then the wine will be what? Will be wasted. He said you can't put new information in the old bottle. He said both the bottle got to be new. The bottle and the wine got to be new. So it's same with men. He said you can't put an old patch or new patch on an old garment. Same thing. He said for the new patch will make the old garment worse and the rent is made worse. What he's saying is the older somebody gets and the more stubborn somebody gets, the more you try to add something new to them, they become completely unraveled and disfigured. So it's easier to recognize that I need help sooner while I'm younger than when I'm older. It's better for me to recognize real early in life, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I need some help. The quicker you can understand that, the faster you can grow. Read.
As the first fruits of their earliest vigor.
He said that you're supposed to learn this when at your earliest opportunity when you're young and strong to realize I need help. Read on.
To nothing in preference to education.
Go ahead.
In which it is well for a man to spend both his youth and by his age. For as they say, that vessels even when empty do nevertheless retain the odor of whatever was originally poured into them.
You ever had an empty cologne bottle?
Yeah.
You ever had an empty perfume bottle?
Yeah.
There's nothing in it, but you can smell the cap.
Yep.
Why is that? Because there's some residue in there. Because even though the bottle's empty, you can still open up the cap and smell the cap and get a whiff of what used to be there. You could catch remnants of what was there at one point in time. What he's saying is, that's how people should be when they're older. You should have some residue of your training. You should have residue of your upbringing. You should have residue, at least some residue of some type of up-rearing, appropriate rearing as a child. There should be some remnants of the fact that you was raised right as you become an adult. You shouldn't be an adult and have no remnants or residue of you being trained right. That's a damn shame at that point. None of the teachings of none of your uncles, none of your aunties, none of your teachers, none of your family members, none of your father, nor your mother or your brother or your sister, you have no remnants and residue of a proper upbringing? There's nothing in you that still at least closely resembles the fact that you was raised right? No home training? That's dangerous. He said, as the old saying goes, at least an old vessel or an old bottle got a little bit of the residue. You should have a little bit of your parents' discipline in you. You should have a little bit of your teachers. All the people that invested into you, all your grandparents' words. All the times that your uncles pull you to the side and say, boy, let me tell you something. Let me put something in your mind.
That's real.
Let me put something in your head, man.
Young buck.
Now here, now listen here.
Yeah.
Now listen here. Listen. You see that over there? Don't worry about what they're doing over there. You worry about what you got going on over here. Even if it was a quick little drop of a nugget. You don't got no nuggets. You don't got no remnants of somebody that actually cared about you and was trying to invest into you. You don't think nothing like them. There's no evidence of anybody that invested into you. He said, damn, at least an old bottle would have a little bit of residue of what was in it. You should at least smell like your grandparents intellectually. You should at least smell like your parents. The way you think, the way you rationalize and see things. You should have at least some commonality and look at life to everybody that took the time to put something in you. You don't reflect none of it? That's dangerous. Read on.
So also are the souls of the young.
It says the same way that a perfume bottle should at least have the smell left, even if there's nothing in it, is at least the way a young man should be. You should have some type of teaching in you.
This is amazing, bro.
You should have some type of education in you. You should have some type of discipline in you. There's a lot of people around you, and you don't smell of none of them. You don't smell of none of the people that actually cared about you, that was trying to teach you something. You don't think like none of them. Read on.
So also are the souls of the young deeply impressed with the indelible character of those conceptions.
It said you should have some type of character or conception of those that was around you. Read on.
Which were the first to be offered to their mind.
It says, who was the first one that actually put something in you? Your parents.
Wow.
You should at least smell of your parents. You should at least think like them. Have the discipline like them. Have the work ethic of them. Have the smarts of them. Have the wisdom of them. Have the knowledge of them. So, Proverbs said what? Yahweh?
Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
And that's the hope of the Bible, is that you get this knowledge and you get this understanding when you're young, and you never lose it as you get older. It's always a part of you. This instruction is always with you. He said that's the way it should be with a child. He says, read that part again.
This is right here. So also are the souls of the young deeply impressed with the indelible character of those conceptions, which were the first to be offered to their minds, which cannot be at all washed away
It says
by the torrent.
It says none of the things that somebody taught you should be washed away.
It's beautiful, bro.
You should remember something about what your parents told you of how to behave and how to be as a person. You should be able to recall some things. All the demonstrations and examples they taught you wasn't bad. You should have been able to at least take some good from your people. Read.
It says, which cannot be at all washed away by the torrent of any ideas which flow over the mind afterwards.
So yeah, even as you get older, you come up with your own ideas as an adult. But those ideas should be put in check by what your parents taught you. Nah, I ain't finna do that, man. I remember what my mama told me about, staying up late. I remember when my father told me ain't nothing good happen after midnight. Man, at midnight, man, that's, like my father told me, at 3 a.m. is the witching hour. He said, ain't nothing good gonna come to you if you out at 3 in the morning. And usually that's when I got in trouble. And all of what he said made sense. Because 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no reason for anybody to be doing anything.
There's no righteousness going on.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
There's no righteousness.
No righteousness. Only dirt.
Yeah, you caught at 3 in the morning. There's night creatures and there's day creatures. You will be caught by a night creature. Day creatures are bad enough, but you will be caught slipping because ain't nothing going on. But you should remember these things. You know what? 12 o'clock. Hey, what did Denzel Washington say? He said he go to the Hollywood parties.
Oh yeah.
He said, but he leaves before what?
Before the devil comes out.
He said before the devil comes.
Yeah.
He said he leave at 12 o'clock. He said that's when the devil come in.
Yeah.
So even Denzel know I can go to these Hollywood parties, but my cutoff is 12.
He leaves at 11:59.
Yeah. He said the devil arrives at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
But you don't think about none of the things your parents told you. You don't use none of the things your parents taught you to offset your ideas that come in your head. Something got to keep balance in the way you think. Something has to say, hey, man, that's not a good idea because my father told me don't do that. My mother told me that ain't good. You don't use them as a means of checks and balances in your ideas and your thoughts. He said you should. Little Philo saying you should. Read on.
But they, to the last, show the character originally given to them.
He said they should show until they're in their dying age. He says you should reflect the character that was originally given to you until you die.
It makes a lot of sense.
That means everything that everybody invested into you to become a better person, you should be a reflection of that until you die. But how come we don't? Not all of us have the discipline and the consistency of our parents. And the steady-mindedness, the level-headedness, the emotional stability. All that what they put into us, something should have stayed. But a lot of the time we don't keep it. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15.
Read.
It says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child.
And just like we've been talking about, that foolishness is, I know I don't need no help. I don't need nobody to help me. I don't need no advice. I don't need instruction. I don't need you. I don't need your counsel. I don't need what you have to offer me. That's always going to be in us. That was in us since birth. He said there's always going to be that aspect where we always think we know better. He says, but foolishness is what?
Foolishness is bound.
Meaning it's inevitable. Read on.
In the heart of a child.
Go ahead.
But the rod of correction.
It said, but there's only one thing that the Most High creates to drive away that I know spirit. You ain't got to tell me nothing spirit. I don't got to listen to you. What is the one thing the Most High institutes to push out that I think I know it all and I don't care what you tell me? Spirit.
The rod of correction.
That's what it's for. It's to drive. It's to push back the idea that I know it all. And that spirit that's in each and every one of us. That's why correction is necessary. The title of the class is Correction is Difficult to Swallow, but Necessary. It's hard to swallow because it doesn't align with the idea that I don't need your help. I know what I'm doing. But it's hard to swallow because it's opposite of that idea. You're trying to force your way on me. I don't need you to think for me. Not realizing that you do need somebody to think for you. Not realizing that you don't know it all. He said what?
It says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction.
And that rod in the Hebrew, it means a shepherd's implement. So that rod is like what a shepherd uses to keep what? To keep sheep in order. Because that's how the Most High look at us. He looks at us like what?
Sheep.
Like sheep. Sheep need what?
Correction, guidance.
They need direction. They need guidance. They need correction. Sheep don't know what they're doing. Sheep need assistance. Sheep will literally follow each other off a cliff. Yes, sir.
And it shows you where the rod comes from as far as the shepherds. The rod comes from the shepherds, or correction comes from the shepherds.
Absolutely. But that word rod means a shepherd's implement. So it's showing you that we're sheep. The Most High look at us like sheep. Meaning you don't know what you're doing. You don't see solo sheep last too long. You at least got a shepherd that got a dog that will help keep them sheep in line. The shepherd will at least whistle, and the dogs will go round up all the sheep and bring them back.
Yeah. Well, he's too old to do the physical element of himself. Those shepherds that gotta run after you. They gotta physically run after the sheep. They get smart. So I'm gonna train this dog to do that.
Yeah, this dog gonna help me out. His dog gonna help go get them sheep, and they do. But he's showing you that we don't need to be living life thinking that we need to be independent. If we're sheep, independent sheep don't last long. Wolves come in. Greedy wolves come in,
Yeah.
and rip you to shreds because you think you know it all, and you isolate yourself, and you tell yourself, "I got it under control." When in actuality, you don't have it under control. So we all need the rod of correction. Read on.
Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him.
It said, "We'll drive it what?
Far from him."
How do you know whether if you need that rod of correction? Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. It says, "Bow down thine ear, and hear the words of the wise,
Go ahead.
and apply thine heart unto my knowledge."
So the Most High said, bow down your ear. You got to listen. You got to become a student of understanding and knowledge, of instruction, of getting advice. You got to open yourself up for advice. You got to put down the idea, "I think I know what I'm doing." That's maybe why maybe life isn't as fulfilled as you want it to be because maybe you don't listen enough. Maybe not as far as you should be or could be because you don't open your mind enough. You think you got it already. Read.
It says, bow down thine ear, and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee.
Go ahead.
They shall withal be fitted in thy lips.
He says they shall be fitted where?
In thy lips.
You know if there's some residue of instruction in you, it'll come out where?
Your lips.
It'll come out of your mouth. It'll come out of your. You know who's been raised right? You can tell by what? How they communicate. You can tell how they talk. And immediately you can tell, yeah, okay, this person seems like they have a good head on their shoulder. It seems like they have some discipline. It seems like they have some proper training, some home training. He said, but you know somebody that has not received instruction by how they speak to people. And it's a telltale sign of you got some listening to do. You got some more listening to do. How you talk to people. The way you communicate, it's evident you need some assistance. You should be asking more questions. You don't know how to treat people. You don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to win people. You don't know how to get blessed from people. You don't know how to get the most out of people. But it's all where? It's all in the speech. That's what the Most High said. You know that's where that residue is at. Man, you know when you talk to somebody they sound older than their time. It's like, man, you got an old soul, man. You're like an old man. Where you get all this wisdom from? You know, he was on the porch eating watermelon, spitting sunflower seeds with the old folks.
Yeah.
And he talked like an old person. He sounded like an old person.
Yeah. That's true.
Every aspect about him sounded like an old man or old woman. You sound like a grandma. Because you've been around grandmas. You've been around old aunties. So you got the residue of their spirit. But if they was conflicting, argumentative, debative, and cursing each other, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have the same speech they had. If they were just cackling, talking about each other, backbiting, you know, or you got that same cackling mouth. You got that same way of talking to people.
Wow.
If you was around uncles that were sarcastic, rude, disrespectful, you got that same level of speech.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a product of what you were around.
So we're like sponges either way. We're sponges either way.
Come on. You're gonna be a product of who raised you. But you should be a product of who raised you, but in a good way. In a way of instruction and discipline. He said, the Most High said, you'll know by how they talk. Like, damn, who raised you? I know your parents taught you better than that. I know that you can't be a reflection of your parents. That's a bad look. You can't be a reflection of your grandparents. That's a bad look. Or even worse, Man, you can't be a reflection of that camp.
Yeah.
Is that how y'all operate in this camp? Is that how y'all get down? Is that what y'all do? I don't want nothing to do with the Bible then. I don't want nothing to do with the verses you got. Because I can tell, but the Most High said you can tell by what?
Tree by the fruit of it.
Yeah, but read that last part.
It says, for 16?
Verse 18.
It says, for it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in thy lips.
It says they will be fitted where?
In thy lips.
Instruction should be fitted in your lips. That's how you know who's been raised right. Because instruction and wisdom of the elders, of ancients, of their parents, come out of their mouth. Not no foolishness. Not no debate and arguments and contention and strife. Maybe that was your parents. And if that was your parents, then you need to get more instruction then. You need to get more, you should get more instruction from the elders. You should be opening yourself up for more advice.
Yesterday I had my son, one of my second graders, he was going off. I stopped the whole class because my other teacher was not supporting her and getting her, okay, we gotta have more patience. But then come direct to me, I'm on her side. So I asked the young, he was like, he walked in, I'm not trying to do this work. I'm here for this. So I said, I'm sorry. This press practice. Would you be like this? He's like, yeah. My parents give me options. They ask me, do I want to play the video game or do I want to clean my room? Do you want to know what I say? I said, tell her, I want to clean my room. And my dad and my mom did a competition. So they let me just play the video game.
Well, you know, he's bringing that same I want to play the video game mentality to the schoolhouse.
Yes, his mom works at the school.
To the classroom.
To talk to the mom about
That's an embarrassment to the parents.
she don't know what to do.
That's an embarrassment. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 11, and we're gonna get to that point too. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 11. Yeah, I get a child with options. A child with options.
That's right.
A child, giving a child options, they're gonna always pick the weaker one.
Proverbs chapter 3 verse 11.
Mm-hmm. Read
My
that.
son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
It said because this is in us, and there's only one way to get it out. We gotta get the rod of correction. We gotta hear alternative points of view in order to be better people. And we gotta let people put information and advice and instruction into us if we're gonna be any better than what we are. And remove that foolishness from us. And you gotta first get rid of that I think I know everything mentality. And I don't have to listen to anybody. You gotta get out of that. He said, read it again.
God, verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction.
And neither be what?
Weary of his correction.
But what do? I'm tired of you telling me what to do. I'm tired of you telling me I'm wrong. I'm tired of you telling me like as if I don't understand. I'm tired of you always talking down on me. I'm tired of the way you make me feel. You know what people try to do? People are trying. The Most High put teachers and governors, tutors and governors around us to help assist us in becoming better. We have to open ourselves up for that and not get tired of being told what to do, because that's where the contention comes in at. That's when the argument, when you're fed up with people telling you something, you don't want to hear anything. Then your ears close, instruction closes. You don't embrace change. You don't embrace an alternative point of view. You don't see things from other people's lens. You only see things from your lens. And that's damaging. Matter of fact, I want you to read something else. Finish that real quick.
That was in 11.
Yeah, well, that's 11. Hold 11. Let me get this real quick. Let me get one more thing. Read this right here for me. Where that star's at.
Come. For in the first place, man does not judge as the Most High judges.
It says, first of all, Read that verse again. You got?
God, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
You know what? You know why our minds have to be chastened? Read this part again.
For in the first place, man does not judge as the Most High judges.
So what does the chastening do?
Good.
It helps you with what?
Judgment.
It helps you with judgment. It sharpens your judgment. So there's only one way to sharpen your judgment. You got to get corrected. If you don't get corrected, your judgment, your perception will never get sharper. You will always live life through a foolish way of looking at things, through a foolish lens. There's only one way to sharpen your judgment. Get correction. So if that's the only way to sharpen judgment, then open yourself up for correction. Drop what you think you know. Stop thinking nobody can tell you something, and embrace somebody putting something into you. Some advice and some counsel into you. Read that again.
For in the first place, man does not judge as the Most High judges.
Go ahead.
Because we investigate what is visible to ourselves.
Because we only do what?
We investigate what's visible, what I see, what's visible to ourselves.
What makes sense to me.
That makes sense.
That's all I care about. That's how I think. I only think based upon what makes sense to me. If this don't make sense to me, I don't believe it. If it don't make sense to me, I'm not going to do it. We only go off the physical. We look at things externally. We don't look at things right. We lack something. And it's going to show you what we lack. Read on.
But he descends into the secret recesses of the
Let's
soul.
read that part again.
God. For in the first place, man does not judge as the Most High judges, because we investigate what is visible to ourselves. But he descends into...
It says, but he descends. It says, but the Most High sees things differently than we do. It says the Most High descends, means he goes deeper than what we do. We see surface. We judge things off the surface. It says the Most High don't look at things off the surface. He takes it multiple levels deeper than what we see things. Read on.
But he descends into the secret recesses of the soul.
It said, but the Most High looks into the interior of people. He looks deeper than the surface. He says he looks into the secret recesses of the soul. Read on.
Without making any noise.
It said without what?
Making any noise.
So the Most High creeps into people's minds. He makes no noise when he comes in to check out how people think and evaluate things. Read on.
And there contemplates the mind in the clear light.
It says then he analyzes the mind. While you're holding on to your pride, the Most High is investigating the way you think. He's holding your mind in the palm of his hands, checking it out. Look at this person. Look at this mind, man. Look how sick this mind is. This mind is damaged. This mind needs some help. This mind is inferior. This mind is not living up to its full potential. This mind has a crooked perception. This mind is deformed. Most High is checking out. He's checking out the mind that you have while you think you know it all. Read on.
It says, and there contemplates the mind in the clear light, as if it were the sun.
It said the Most High see the mind as if it was the sun. We know the scriptures say the Most High's eyes are what?
10,000 times brighter than the sun.
So the Most High see every single aspect of the way you think, while we only look at life through the surface. Read on.
For stripping off from it, all the ornaments in which it is enveloped.
It says the mind is enveloped with different ornaments. One of the ornaments that the mind is enveloped or enveloped or covered in is pride. Another ornament that the mind is enveloped in is ignorance. Another ornament that the mind is
These aren't good ornaments.
no, hell no, these are not good ornaments. Is covered in is rebellion. This says the Most High is able to strip off all that. Read on.
It says, and seeing its devices and intentions naked.
It says the Most High sees every man's devices and intentions what?
Naked.
Go ahead.
He immediately distinguishes between the bad and the good.
The Most High can see what's inside a person, whether it's bad or whether it's what?
Good.
Good. We only see things from the surface. So if I never adopt the Most High's way of looking at life and looking at people, I'll never be able to determine whether this person that's giving me advice means good to me or they mean me harm. As long as you look at people through the surface, you'll never know whether people are meaning good or ill to you, or have good intentions for you or bad intentions for you. You'll never really know that when you keep looking at things off the surface. We're programmed to look at things off the surface, but we're not trained to look at things the way the Most High sees things. It's contrary. Therefore, we don't know when somebody's actually giving me good advice. I don't even know when somebody actually means well to me and they actually want to see me prosper in my life, but I don't want to hear it. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. What you're saying goes over my head because I don't like how you're talking. I don't like your tone. I don't like your pitch. Can you go deeper than that? Can you go deeper than feelings and emotions and understand when somebody actually means you well? Read on.
36.
Mm-hmm.
Let not us then, preferring our own judgment to that of the Most High, assert that it is more unerring and more full of wisdom than his.
I don't need nobody's advice. I don't need no help. Because we know that's a lie. Go to Jeremiah chapter 6 and read verse 16. Yep.
Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. This is what the Most High says. It's a weird Bible.
Who got it? Is that King James?
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16.
It's the NIV's up in here.
Got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? I want you to read it after this. I want you to read it.
NIV be hitting sometimes.
Sometimes it's a different angle.
There's not the
Yeah.
It's just racist.
I'm not gonna count it out yet, Nagaha.
Okay.
Hold it. But read the King James first.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. Thus saith the Most High, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths.
He said, you supposed to ask for what?
The old paths.
So are you supposed to go off how you look at life?
No. All past that. That's a great scripture.
How did the old people do things?
That's a great scripture.
How did the ancients see things? How do I think like my elders? He said, well, we don't do that. He said we should do that. How were old things done? How did old relationships work? We can't build a relationship to save our life that works and lasts.
That's the
But we never ask what? How did grandma and them be married for 50 years? How did they go 50, 60 years? How did they make it 70? How did they do it? How did grandpa work the same job 50 years straight?
Same. Yeah.
What did he do? And he had 10 kids.
Listen.
I'm having trouble with these two. I'm battling these 2 kids.
You always been the story up of your auntie or your grandmother wearing the same uniform. You never saw her in regular clothes.
Yeah,
She
that's
always
true.
wore it. But that drives people crazy. Like now.
That's true. My grandmother had one
That's hilarious.
uniform.
That same outfit.
She wore a maid's uniform 7 days a week. Because she was a maid. She was actually kidnapped from Louisiana when she was 13 and brought to San Antonio as a maid.
Wow.
And she only knows how to be a maid. And that's all she wore was white shoes, white stockings, a white slip with a white skirt past her knees, with a white blouse, with a white apron, and a white bonnet on her head every day, 7 days a week. I never seen my grandmother in no other clothes.
Wow.
Because that was all she knew. But that's how she survived. One outfit. And in the closet, it was the same white outfit. It was the same white apron, same white skirts, same same thing. But we be tripping. We be tripping when we ain't got clothes. TR ripping. We be tripping, man. When things we look a certain way. But we don't ask for what? How did they make it, man? How did they do things? Read that again.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. Thus saith the Most High, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old ways.
He said, ask for the old ways, man. There's new age thinkers. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to live right, man. They don't know how to function. They don't know how to make friends. They don't know how to build friends. They don't know how to build bonds. They don't know how to make relationships last. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to communicate. This new generation needs to get in tune to the old way. Yes, sir.
That's good. You said that right, because working at the mall, I'll ask the same question for people that have been married 50 and 10, 40 years, and they always say the same thing. I mean, man, how did it work for y'all? They all say the same thing now. Communication, you know.
They say? They said that one guy told me when I was at the mall, he said, never go to bed angry. He said, me and my wife always talk it out before we go to sleep. He said, for one, you never know if, at that age if one of them don't wake up. So you don't want to regret saying something ill and not seeing them again. And let that be the last thing you ever said to them was something ill, some ill communication. Then he said that's how they solve problems. He said they quench their issues before they go to sleep. But doesn't the scripture say that? Mm-hmm. Let not the sun go down on that wrath.
That's the scripture.
Isn't that biblical? To make sure that, hey, we talk this out before we lay down, before we go to sleep. We're not finna go pouty. You sleep on this side, I'm gonna sleep on that side. You sleep in that room, I'm gonna sleep in this room. I'll be in the car, I'll be in the garage. I'll be in the man. Catch me in the man cave. Yeah, I'll be on the couch tonight. That relationships aren't built like that. They don't last like that. Not how we do things. I just stay out all night. I just come in. I creep in the morning. Yeah. So I'm trying to get away. These new people don't know how to make things work. You got to get in tune to the old generation. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. Thus saith the Most High, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths.
He said, ask for the old paths, man. You got to ask for how did older people get through with what they're going through with less innovation, with less resources, with less money, with less opportunity, and they was able to raise 10, 15 kids. And you struggling with one or two. You complaining about your job. They couldn't even get a job. They had to shine shoes. Or just do custodial work. Clean bathrooms and toilets. And you complaining. We be tripping, man. Read on.
It says, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way?
They said, where's the what?
The good way.
That's what we should be asking for. But if you think you know it all, are you going to ask for the right way?
Nah.
No. You're not going to ask if you think you know it all. Read on.
And walk therein.
It says, and once they tell you the good way, you walk in the way that they tell you. What works and what doesn't work. They'll give you some advice. They'll tell you what you're doing wrong. Get around some older people long enough and let them watch you, and they'll tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. Boy, pull your pants up when you come in this house. Ain't nobody going to respect you with your pants hanging off your butt. Ain't nobody going to take you serious. They going to tell you what's wrong with you. Boy, don't come in here and don't speak.
Yeah.
You see me in here. Yeah. You better acknowledge me. You know what I'm saying? Get around some older people long enough, and they'll tell you everything wrong with you. Girl, you showing your world out to everybody.
Yeah. You
showing your pearls to everybody. Cover yourself up. They'll tell you what you need to hear if you're around them long enough. But what do? We escape advice and instruction. Because we don't want nobody to control us. We don't want nobody telling us what to do. We don't want to be modified. Because we want to go off the fact that we are geared in the right direction. And my invention is correct. What you got, Naga?
Jeremiah 6 and 16. This is what the Lord says. Stand by the roadways and look.
And this is the what? The NIV, right?
Oh, what
This
this
is
is.
the HCSB.
Whoa.
Holman.
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 Yeah,
It's a
Holman's
Ho-
commentary is not
Holman.
bad.
Holman. This is a Holman. This.
This is what the Lord says. Stand by the roadways and look. Ask about the ancient paths.
They say, man, which way did everybody go? Which way is the right way? Which way am I going? Which way do I need to go? Go ahead.
Which is the way to what is good. Then take it and find rest for yourselves.
It says that once you get the advice on which way you should be going, take that path,
Find rest.
and you'll be okay. You'll find comfort. We don't ask for the right way. We get to a fork in the road and say, I'm gonna flip a coin. Heads or tails. Tails never fail. I'm going with tails. We flip the coin at the fork in the road and just take an undetermined, unknown path, and you wonder why your life is a disaster. Read on.
But they protested.
They said, but they what?
Yeah, it's clear.
But they protested.
They said, do I care about the right path? Oh, hell no.
Protested.
Don't tell me go that way. I don't want to go that way. I don't like it with that road look. He said they protested. Read.
But they protested. We won't.
We won't. I ain't going that way.
Yeah.
But read in the scripture.
Right. It says, thus saith the Most High, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way?
Which way is the good way? Read.
And walk therein.
And go that way. Ask somebody that's been down this road before. Obviously, you weren't the first on the earth. So you should be asking a lot of questions. There's millions of people that's been on the earth before you. You should be asking more questions. We don't ask no questions because we don't want to know. We don't want to be told what to do. Read on.
Right. It says, where is the good way? And walk therein.
I'll figure it out. I usually let my gut tell me which way to go. I trust my gut. I trust my instinct. You know, that's how I live life. I go the way that makes me feel happy. What feels good to me. Read on.
Right. And ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein. And ye shall find rest for your souls.
Read.
But they said, we will not walk therein.
We ain't going that way.
We're not gonna do it like this.
I'm not doing what you tell me to do. I don't want to follow your advice. I'm not going to follow your advice. I do it my way. Okay. You're going to go do it your way. You're going to walk down the path that you're comfortable with. You're not going to listen to nobody telling you, hey, that's not good. Go this way. You're not going to listen. No problem. Read on.
Also, I set watchmen over you.
So what does the most I have to do?
Set watchmen over you.
So because we don't want to go the way that we're told to go, what does the Most High say has to be instituted?
Watching.
Also, I set watchmen over you.
So what does the Most High do? What does he have to do? Because we reject counsel and information.
He sends watchmen to you.
The Most High has to put leaders over you. Because you don't listen. Once again, the topic of the class is correction is difficult to swallow, but it's necessary. You know what is necessary? Watchmen are necessary. Watchmen are necessary for those that don't want to hear advice, who choose their own paths and own direction and don't want to listen or follow instruction to people that have been living life longer than they have and know what's good for them, know what's good, and they can see the danger ahead. They have foresight. They know the direction that you're going. They can see what you're doing doesn't make any damn sense. But you don't talk to those people. You don't want to get advice from those individuals. You protest and say, we won't do it. So the Most High, therefore, has to put watchmen over us. This is why watchmen are necessary. It's because we protest direction. That's why the Most High has to put elders and tutors over us. Because we don't want to listen. He says, so he did what?
Also, I set watchmen over you.
So watchmen become necessary because of our rebellion. Read on.
Okay. Also, I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet.
Listen to my warnings. What's the trumpet for? To warn. What is the watchman's job? To warn. But do we listen to warnings? No. We protest. I don't got to follow you. I don't respect you. I don't listen to you. You ain't my daddy. You're not my mama. Don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss over me. Oh, you the HNIC, huh? That what you is? You're not the boss over me. But so the Most High said, I gotta put watchmen over y'all. I gotta put watchmen over you. And we still don't listen. Read on.
Also, I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet.
Go ahead.
But they said, we would not hearken.
Do you listen to the watchmen? Do we listen to the watchmen? Who was the watchman that the Most High put over us? Elders and teachers. Do we listen to them? The first watchman the Most High put over is parents. Do we listen to them? Nah. Go ahead. Read on.
Therefore, hear, ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people.
It said, now listen, the Most High said, he's talking to our people, his people, us. He said, I'm going to tell the world, because y'all don't want to listen to me. Y'all don't want to ask for the old paths. Y'all don't want to ask for direction and ways that work. And walk in life in directions and ways that work. And you protest because you want to do it your way. He said, the Most High said, I'm going to tell the whole world that I'm going to do what?
Bring evil upon this people.
He said, I'm going to tell the world. I want everybody to hear it. Everybody in the whole world. I want everybody in the world to know that my problem is with you. And that's why we're in the condition, the slums and ghettos and projects and public housing. That's why we're in these situations now. Because it's through the inability to take advice. The inability to take counsel is why we make up the most impoverished places in situations and circumstances in any country we live in. That's why we're in the barrios and the ghettos. Most drug infected, most STD infected, most hypertension, blood disorders, blood disease, heart disease, hypertension, stroke, most all these things. Most drunkenness, most alcoholics, everything. Man, we got the most sickest people. Because the Most High said it's all because you simply won't ask for advice. You don't take advice when it's offered to you. No problem. Then I'm gonna let the world know. I'm gonna put you on blast with what the Most High saying. I'm gonna put all his people on blast. I'm gonna put all of y'all on blast. I got a problem with you. So if the Most High got a problem with you and he's your enemy because you won't seek counsel and take it, then everything you touch won't work. Eventually there's going to be failure in it. And that's part of the punishment from not listening or not seeking sound advice and wisdom. Or not wanting to hear the watchman. Read on.
God. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts.
He said, you know why? Because I'm judging them based upon their what?
Their thoughts.
They don't want to let go of their ignorance. Like Philo said, you know to go to the doctor for sickness physically. How come you won't go to the doctor to remove your ignorance? That's what the watchmen are for. Read.
God. Even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words.
It said because they won't do what?
Hearken unto my words.
It said there's got to be a penalty and repercussion that the Most High brings to us simply because we won't listen. Neither will we ask. And then when we're told, we protest. Read.
God. It says, they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law.
But what?
But rejected it.
But what?
But rejected it.
So that Most High has to penalize us in life because we reject what? His counsel. We won't listen, man. This is the detriment of our people. We don't take advice. Neither do we seek it. Or do we want it? We don't even want advice. It's almost like we don't want to be better. Because that's what the counsel is for. It's like we don't want to be stable. Because that's what the counsel is for. We want to live a herky-jerky, up and down roller coaster life. We want to live by the seat of our pants. Because that's what the counsel is for. The counsel is to stabilize you. He said, and you will find rest when you walk in the direction that you're told to go. We won't do that. So let that go and finish that and finish this part right here. 36. Read all of that right there.
Yeah. Let not us then preferring our own
You
judgment.
about to hit that Spanish.
I
bro.
know, bro. I know.
Right, you almost,
Prefiero.
yeah, you almost said prefiero. You almost hit that Spanish up, bro. All the English word.
I know, bro.
That's a good sign.
It's too many hours.
But you're getting indoctrinated in Espanol.
That's hilarious.
You're forgetting regular English.
I am. That's right. That's a side effect. That's what
That's a side effect of getting that Spanish. You know, that's good. That's a good thing, though.
Oh,
Read?
my goodness. Let not us then, preferring our own judgment to that of the Most High, assert that it is more unerring or more full of wisdom than His.
It said, don't ever think that you know more than the Most High.
Wow.
Don't ever think that you know better than the Most High and what the Most High has in store for you. And that your way of doing anything excels the way that the Most High wants things done. Don't ever think that. Read on.
It says, for that is not consistent with holiness.
It said, because that mind frame is not consistent with what?
Holiness.
Always thinking that you know better than the Most High is not consistent with holiness. That does not add up to holiness. That does not equate holiness. What's better is if we admit that we don't know anything. It said, let me become a fool, that I may become what? Wise. It's better for me to say, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I can get some advice and some help. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I thought I did. It ain't working. Read on.
For in the one there are many things which deceive it.
It said because the problem with people is there's so many things that can contaminate your perspective and deceive your way of thinking. Like we read in Jeremiah 17. The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked.
Of all things.
Who can know it? So he said there's so many things that can deceive your thinking. There's no way you should just trust the way you look at life. There's no way.
Yeah.
What are the things that can deceive it? Read on.
It says, such as the treacherous outward senses.
It said one thing that can deceive you is what?
The treacherous outward senses.
Which we read earlier was what? Emotion and what else? Feelings. Emotions and feelings is the first thing that can deceive you. Your emotions can deceive you. Because you feel a certain way, that doesn't make your feelings correct. That doesn't make your judgment correct. Because you feel a certain way. Or you're passionate about something. So because you're passionate about something, that means that the way that you're going in life is correct because you're passionate about something? It's not right. That's the first thing that can deceive you. Read on.
It said, I was just an ad. There was a study that was done. It says, some say it's less than 1%, but it says really people only see 10% of their own reality with their own eyes. So whatever I'm looking at, I'm only really seeing 10% of the whole picture. Some say it was even less than that.
10%? I'm just messing with you. We're going to eventually be speaking, he's going to eventually teach in Spanish. He's going to get to that point. But I'm just messing around. We're going to start. We're going to start right now.
Oh, man.
La gente en el mundo es de llave, how do I say eyes? Ojos de 10% de todo del mundo. I'm just messing around. Go ahead. I'm just messing around.
Okay. It says, such as the treacherous outward senses, the insidious character of
No, finish what you were saying. You said that, it's a study.
No, I was just saying the study I saw, some say it's less than 1%, but the one I saw was talking about how you only see 10% of your reality. For instance, you only see a small portion of even the colors, so to speak. You're not as vividly aware of everything that's around you. So that's all I was bringing out.
Yeah, because you know what? If you think about it, we only see because of light, makes things apparent.
Yeah.
And we only see the spectrum that light allows us to see.
Yeah.
But when you look at light as waves, as photons, but there's other waves also. There's radio waves. You can't see radio waves, but we know they're there because we turn on the radio, and there's a signal in the receiver. So you can't see the radio wave. There's gamma rays. There's UV rays. There's microwaves.
Yeah.
No, you can't see those things. There's X-rays.
It's ultraviolet light.
That's
which you
UV.
cannot
That's UV.
see.
That's UV. Ultraviolet light. You can't see those. You can't see those spectrums of light with your physical eyes, but you know that they're there. There's thermal waves. There's sonar. There's all kind of. There's lidar. There's all type of waves and pulses that we can't see with the naked eye. So how much more so of understanding? If what you're saying, I'm just going off what you're saying. If we're limited in our scope of ability to see, what about our understanding?
What?
It has to be the same.
It has to be equivalent or even worse.
Well, I was gonna also add to that because this is what I used to take psychology classes, and what they're saying in psychology is people's perspective is based off of how they grew up. So
Yeah.
even the reality in which you see is still based off of your background knowledge you're processing.
Yeah.
So if you're not even retaught how to look at certain things differently, you'll never see even larger picture.
What happens if you lived a trauma-induced life?
It's all going to be trauma. It's like you're always going to look at life in the most negative perspective, or the most not optimistic but pessimistic perspective. A pessimistic mindset is an entirely different world versus an optimistic one. So even learning how to see life in a positive fashion takes training. It takes time. But that's what the study was bringing out is, so based off of your background knowledge, based off of what you've been taught, and your personal experiences will determine what you see and what your reality is.
Yeah. So what things that we think is real is not even real.
No.
Or not even true.
Yeah.
It
takes so long for us to see someone else's perspective. We can't see. We physically can't see how you look at things.
No, we can't. And that's why the scripture said we hardly do guess it right.
Yeah.
Which means more often we're wrong than we are correct. So finish that right there.
It says, "For in the one there are many things which deceive it, such as the treacherous outward senses."
It says the outward senses is treacherous, man. Going off your feelings and emotions is treacherous. It'll deceive you every time. You shouldn't look at people off feelings. You shouldn't look at people off emotion because they talk loud. I don't like this person because they talk loud. You don't know this person. I don't like this. Don't talk to this person. They don't agree with me. Then you don't understand this person. You don't know what you need to know from this individual. You'll never learn what they have to give you because they don't agree with you, or they don't see things the way I see things. They don't share my perspective. Well, you'll never know their perspective. You'll never know their alternative point of view that you may be lacking. 9 times out of 10, the reason why y'all disagree is because you need to know what they understand and don't. And there's a conflict. Read.
It says the insidious character of the passions.
It says an ambition is another thing that people have in them because they're so ambitious they bypass counsel. Because I want to make the thing that I have my eyes set on come to pass so bad. I want what I want so bad. I'm not going to listen to anybody that's giving me all the red flags to tell me that what you're seeking for and what you're trying to accomplish is a disaster. I'm going to bypass all the red flags. I'm going to act like I don't see none of them because I'm so ambitious to get what I want so bad. Because I'm so passionate about it that I want what I want. I'm not going to let nobody stop me, so I'm going to avoid all the red flags until, damn, how did I get in this situation? How did I get stuck in this situation? Because you didn't listen to anybody. You was too ambitious. You were too passionate about what you were trying to acquire and about what you wanted. You want what you wanted without anybody getting in your way. You didn't want nobody to stop you. No problem. You got what you wanted. Now you find out it's not what you wanted. Now you're stuck. Go ahead.
The most terrible attacks of vice.
He says what?
The most terrible attacks of vice.
He says another thing that deceives the intellect is your vices, your addictions.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we know what people are addicted to. Shit, you know what you're addicted to. We all should know what we're weak at and what causes us weakness and what we're not strong in and what we have a hard time resisting when these things are available to us or in front of us. Each and every one of us should know what their own vices are. You know, there's certain things that was a vice to me that is no longer a vice to me, and that they can put it in my face and I will not indulge. But there are some things that may be put in front of me that I may be like scratching my head like, man. You know, for most Israelites, you know, the one of the vices is opportunity, bro, to make more money.
Yeah.
That'd be itching them, man. I got a chance to make more money. Because you know what you find out in the truth? Is it about acquiring wealth or acquiring wisdom?
Wisdom.
What's the priority? Wisdom is the priority.
Yeah.
Wealth is not the priority, man. Money's not the priority. But you know what? You know what I see men leave the truth for? A job.
Yeah.
A better job. I see men skedaddle. Like Scooby-Doo, like whoop, 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 whoop. Like when Scooby-Doo feet be running.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I see men skedaddle for a job. They bypass any instruction, wisdom, knowledge. They put that on hold. I'll get back to that later. Maybe later in my life it'll become more important. But right now, man, my palms is itching. You know what that means? When your palms are itching.
Yeah.
Money's
coming.
Money's on the table. Money's coming my way.
On the table.
I see men just bounce, leave everything behind for some cash. I've seen men bounce for a woman.
Yeah.
I've seen men bounce because they were unfulfilled. They just weren't fulfilled. They just didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. As if the Most High's wisdom wasn't enough for them. They weren't fulfilled with doing the work of the Lord. I just wasn't fulfilled. Or it wasn't no fun. I had to enjoy myself, man. I had to see what I'm capable of. I had to see my potential. I didn't feel like I was going to live up my potential in the truth. So I got to go out in the world and find out what's my potential. So I could be fulfilled. But everybody has a different vice. Some have similar vices. Some have other ones. Everybody should know what they're weak at. He said, but these are things that deceive the intellect. These are the things of why you should not trust your way of looking at life. Why you should not trust your perception. Because you're prone to vices. You're prone to weakness. You're prone to influence. Why would you trust something, a mechanism that's prone to so many weaknesses? Somebody could put anything in your head and you'll be willing to make that decision. Somebody could put anything in your mind and you'll think about it and meditate on it and then try it. Why would you trust something that's so influential? That's not that firm and stable. That's prone to influence. Why would you give something that's like that so much credit? He said there's many things that deceive the intellect. And this is why you should never trust your own mind over the Most High's mind. The mind is too weak. It's easily influenced, easily controlled and manipulated. Read on.
But in the other, there is nothing.
He said, but when it comes to the Most High, he said there is nothing what?
Which can at all conduce to deceit or error.
It said there is no error with the Most High's mind. And there's nothing that you can influence the Most High to do or think. You can't manipulate the Most High's mind. You can't. The Most High is not weak to advice. You can't bribe the Most High. Hey man, I got these 2 for $10, man. You want one? I got them 2 for $10. You can't hustle the Most High. You can't induce him to do anything. The Most High's mind is undefiled. Why would you not trust his over yours? When yours is so easily manipulated and controlled by your feelings, your emotions, opportunity, fulfillment, your passions, and your vices. Why would you trust that? Pride. Read on. And you know what the mind is? The mind is ever changing. Because you can do something and people around you say, man, I thought you said you never do that. I thought you said you never eat that again. Yeah. I thought you said you quit sodas. You know how it is. You know, just once in a while is not gonna hurt you. Just once, every once in a while, blue moon. Every once. I don't do it that much like I used to.
Yeah.
I thought you said you quit. You know me. You know how. Just once.
Just once a day now.
Yeah, just once every once. I don't do it that often. I don't go crazy with it like I used to.
Yeah.
I just drink one. What the hell are you talking about? You say you quit. You say you quit. You quit. Yeah. Why are you saying you quit and then it's back in your hand? Why would you trust a mind that is ever changing like that? That's unstable. That will do something that it said it won't do no more. They say you quit drinking, brother. Stress, wine was made to make men glad. Pull a verse. Wine was made to make men glad. Just do all things in moderation, brother. Moderation, brother.
That's awesome.
Moderation. You say you want to eat fast food no more. It's the only thing open. It's the only thing open right now. It's the only thing open. That's all that's open right now.
Yeah.
Why would you trust something that cannot stick to its own word and its own determination?
That's hilarious.
He said, but the Most High, you should trust him instead, because you can't induce the Most High like our minds can be induced. Finish that?
It says, but justice and truth, by which each separate action is determined on, and this way is naturally rectified in the most praiseworthy manner.
So he's saying that the Most High operates in justice and in truth and is never defiled by any influence. This is why the Most High's way of doing things should be preeminent and more dominant than the way we look at things. This is why you should never trust yourself. You're too prone to your emotions, to your feelings, to your vices, to your pride. You're too prone to being altered. You're not firm. So therefore, we should be quick to get rid of the way we do things. We should invite an alternative perspective that's right by the Most High. We should be open to hear instruction and advice to get our lives back on the right foot and on the right track. But we don't. We protest. So enough with that. And let's go to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12. I think you had Proverbs. Who had Proverbs chapter 3?
I had it.
You had it?
I got it.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12.
Verse 12. Proverbs 3 and 12. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth.
And also, besides all these reasons why you should embrace correction, one of the most important aspects of correction is what? Read that again.
For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth.
You should know above all those reasons that we done brought out about why you shouldn't trust yourself with the way you think. And you should invite and open your mind up to be criticized, to be examined, to be looked at, and to be adjusted. You should also see it as what?
Love.
But why don't we like correction? Because we don't see it as love. You know what we tell ourselves when we see correction? This person doesn't like me.
Yes.
That's one of the most go-to excuses that we come up with in our mind when somebody is actually giving us some advice that's beneficial to us. We say, this person doesn't like me. What does that show you about us? No, not just prideful. Yes, we are prideful. But what does that tell you about us?
We choose to be victims.
We're victims. We choose to be victims.
We are immature. We have to line up and we look at things very childish. As well. I just say we were immature.
Oh. Anybody else? Why do we say this person don't like me? What is giving you instruction got to do with them liking you?
It gives you a reason to rebel.
It gives a reason to rebel. That's a good one.
Because we associate that friendship with you agree with me. As long as you agree with me, then that's how I can identify we're friends. When you stop agreeing with me, we're no longer friends.
The only way I can trust you,
Yeah.
and be open to is for you to. You have to show me that me and you are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And that we think alike. And if you don't agree with me, in my mind, you don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like me, I can't listen to you. I can't trust you. Yeah, that's like one of the number one reasons why people reject counsel. You don't like me, man. I thought you liked me. Thought we were friends. Friends? What does the scripture say? Deceitful are kisses of what?
Oh,
An enemy.
An enemy.
But
It's
yeah,
Faithful are the wounds.
Right.
Faithful are the wounds of what?
Faithful are the
Friend.
friend.
Of a friend. If we're friends, I will tell you what's wrong with you, and I'll be upfront, frank with you, because if we're really friends, I actually care about you. I love you, and this is why I will tell you what I'm telling you. But if I was actually your enemy, I will tell you that everything you're doing is right, and you're on the right track, even though you're not.
That saves time.
Saves a lot
That
of time.
saves time for the person in the position of having to correct. Hey, man, you're right. Let's go home early.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
That's all I was on point. I catch my show.
Yep. Yeah, it's correct. Yes, sir.
I want to read something on that mindset that you were talking about. If I may.
What you got?
It's on your points, Pastor Warren.
I mean, these chairs, bro, got
So,
their own mind. You know, the rebellious side.
Again?
oh, wow.
strong guy.
It says, people may dislike or even hate those who disagree with them because disagreement can challenge their sense of identity
Yeah.
and perceived correctness, leading to defensiveness and a desire to maintain their own beliefs.
Yeah.
Where you get that from? Because I love it.
That's a really good one.
He's online. Get that online. Get that online, bro.
Find that. Find that.
Hey, man, you gotta be more specific, bro. Yeah, this can't be. Oh, I was just perusing through the internet.
He's gatekeeping. He's gatekeeping the info.
I was just perusing.
Are you got that? You got that webpage? Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I just popped up. It just popped up.
No, I just looked up.
Don't let it be AI Google.
No. I looked up basically to understand what kind of mentality that person is. That
Using that Chat GPT app.
No.
Check you. Check the
It was like real quick, Chat GPT. What happens when you don't listen to people? No, read it again. That's beautiful.
Listen to your elders.
Yeah.
It says
Proverbs.
Read that again. That's beautiful. No. Read what Kariah just brought out. That's beautiful.
It says, people may dislike or even hate those who disagree with them because disagreement can challenge their sense of identity.
Because you're destroying who I think I am.
Yeah.
That, you know what that means? You're tearing away at my costume.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're ripping off my mask. I'm not so pretty as I think I am. I'm not so smart as I think I am. I'm not so intellectual as I think I am. I'm not so just like I think I am.
Yeah.
I'm not so fair and equitable like I think I am. I'm not so brotherly or sisterly like I think I am.
I'm not so logical
I'm not so logical.
as I thought I was.
Yeah. I thought I was smart. Thought I was wise. So you tearing at that mask, that costume that people put on. You're stripping me down. And so when people do that, because their confidence is associated with their logic and their pride.
Yep.
So when you attack their logic, you're attacking who they think they are. That makes sense. It makes sense.
And the problem is the logic. The flaw with the logic is it doesn't be logic based on the Most High's priorities. It's logic based off their fleshly priorities.
Yep.
My fleshly priority is convenience. So logically, this doesn't make sense according to my convenience, but you're right. Scripturally, it's about empowering your spirit going against your flesh. So that means that it's not going to be logical to your flesh. It's going to be logical to the spirit. So doing something that's more difficult than necessary or going the long route might take more time, but you'll last longer because it makes you more conditioned. It conditions you to handle adversity better. The way of convenience is not building your spirit to handle adversity
or pressure.
And what breaks most people? Pressure. So going back to the point Judge Warren's bringing out, this is beautiful to understand. The Most High is trying to get us to see His way, but we have to rip our mask off. And you have to get past our feelings to see the Lord's way, which means we have to accept correction.
You have to accept correction. But when your identity and confidence is associated with your pride or your arrogance, then you feel like you're being attacked. Read.
Right.
Read that one more time. I love it, man. That's beautiful, man.
Right. It says, People may dislike or even hate those who disagree with them,
Or even, yeah.
because disagreement can challenge their sense of identity and perceived correctness, leading to defensiveness and a desire to maintain their own beliefs.
Damn, man. Woo. Damn. Eesh, that's heavy, man. I'll write that down. But that later date, let that go. Keep going. What you got?
I'm still in Proverbs 3 and 12.
You still in Proverbs 3 and 12? Go ahead.
I'll read it again.
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs 3 and 12. For whom the Lord loveth, he corrected.
So in order for the Most High to give you his love, it comes associated with correction. That's how the Most High shows you his love. You have to embrace correction. You have to embrace it. You have to acknowledge that I need it, man. I need correction in my life. Because that's the Most High's way of showing us love. And we don't comprehend that. We look at love as being an attack. You're attacking my character. You're attacking me as a person. You're tearing me down. You're wearing away at my confidence. Not really. I'm actually trying to build you up. But the way that we're used to being built up is to be agreed with or to be told I'm correct. That don't build you up. Telling you you're right all the time doesn't make you any better.
It's coddling.
Yeah, it is. Matter of fact, we might as well go there. It's great. Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 7.
Are you still holding it?
Yeah, hold that. So we'll finish it, then go to read it one more time, then go to Ecclesiasticus 30, verse 7.
Finishing 12 from the top. For whom the Lord loveth, he corrected, even as a father, the son,
It said,
whom he delighteth.
even as a father or what?
The son,
He said, even as a father, the son. Read.
in whom he delighteth.
It says, in whom he delighted. Before we go there, read Hebrews 5 and 8. Before we go to Ecclesiastes. It says, even the Father, the Son, in whom he delighted.
Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8.
Read that.
Hebrews chapter 5 and 8. It says, though he were a son.
It says, and the Most High deals with every single son the same way. We're talking about sons of the Most High. We're talking about daughters also. He's dealing with us the same way. His children. He deals with us the same way. He says, even though he was a what?
Son.
At this point in Hebrews, we're talking about Yahweh Shai.
Yeah.
Son of the Most High. Son of Yahweh. So he says, even though Christ is the Son of the Most High, read on.
Yet learned ye obedience.
He still had to learn what?
Obedience.
How did Christ learn obedience? Which means the ability to follow. You know how to follow. How did Christ learn how to follow the Most High?
By the things which he suffered.
By told he was right?
By the things which he suffered.
By him being told he was correct in his way of doing things?
By the things which he suffered.
By only being told and doing things that he agreed with.
By the things which he suffered.
So the Most High only put Christ through the things that he agreed to.
By the things which he suffered.
That's not how you learn obedience. You know how you learn obedience? You learn how to follow when you're told something that you don't agree with. That doesn't align with your way of looking at things. When you don't agree with what you're being told. And you do it anyway. And then you trust it and you follow the outcome. And when you follow the outcome of being told some instruction that you not necessarily didn't agree with, and you see the benefit of it, then you learn to trust it. Now I learn how to follow. You don't learn how to follow doing only what you agree to. It doesn't make you a better person.
Wow.
You'll never learn the benefit of enduring somebody's alternative way of suggesting things. You don't know that you never see the benefit of it. You never learn how to think like the person putting you through something. You never learn how to think like them. So there has to be a contrary lifestyle or way of doing things that doesn't agree with us, that would sharpen us to learn the Most High's way in judgment. And that's what Christ did. Christ had to go through it. So if Christ had to go through it, what makes us think that we don't have to go through it? If the Most High deal with all his sons this way, it just shows you that the Most High is not a respecter of persons. You got to learn how to follow. You got to learn how to do what you're told. everything you're told, you're not going to agree with. It's not going to be based upon your likeness, how you like it. So he said, even though he was a son, though he were a son, read on.
Yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered.
Go ahead.
And being made perfect.
It said, and because he never deviated. Christ never deviated from the things that he was told to do, even though he may not have agreed with it or didn't like it. He never deviated. So it showed that he was perfect in his ability to follow. And he was without error and without sin, because he never deviated what he was told. He endured everything he was told to go through. Read on.
It says, and being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation.
So Christ has the handbook, and he wrote the manual on how to receive salvation. That's what Christ did. He's the biographer of, or the autobiography of how to get to the Most High's kingdom. How to receive salvation. There's no other way to do it. He's the author of it. He wrote the book on it. So if you want to be saved, you got to follow the manual. And Christ wrote the manual. He said he's the author of what?
Author of eternal salvation.
So you got to read the manual. What did Christ say to do about salvation? You got to do what you're told, even when you don't agree with it. You got to follow instruction and stop bucking up to instruction thinking you know every damn thing. If you want to be like Christ and want to receive salvation. It says, though he were a son, yet he became the author of salvation. He said, though he were a son, he says,
though he were a son, yet learned he obedience.
He said, learn the obedience. Go ahead.
By the things which he suffered.
Go ahead.
And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation.
And go to Matthew chapter 17, verse 5. Go to Matthew chapter 17, verse 5, because how did the Most High look at Christ, who did everything that he was told to do, even though he was suffering while he was doing it? It wasn't agreeable to him, to his flesh.
Matthew chapter 17, verse 5. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.
He said, what?
And this is my beloved Son.
What did the Most High say about Christ?
In whom I am well pleased.
He said, this is my beloved Son, whom I caused to suffer. Remember what Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8 said. He caused him to suffer. He said, because he endured the suffering, he became the author of eternal salvation. And the Most High said what?
This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.
He's approved of me, by me, because he knows how to follow everything he's told to do, even though it's causing him pain and discomfort. He knows how to follow. He can be counseled. He can be advised. He can be instructed, even though it's against the grain. Even though it's against his comfort. He said, this is my Son in whom I am well pleased. Read.
Hear ye him.
He said, the Most High said, follow him. Listen to him. Do what he tells you to do. Because he's mastered obedience. He mastered obedience. Have we mastered obedience? We haven't even mastered receiving correction, let alone master obedience. We can't even let nobody check us without getting out of order, without getting hostile, or seeking some type of revenge, or going back and forth, tit for tat. I got to go back and forth. You say this, I'm going to say that. You say this, I'm going to say that. You say something about me, I'm going to say something about you. We can't even receive correction without just acting like kids. I don't like the way you make me feel. But Christ knows how to do all that. So that's why the Most High said, listen to him, man. Listen to what he tell you to do. Follow his example. Because I can put him through anything, and he'll follow it. And that's why I'm well pleased at him. But you tell us something that we don't agree with, man, you know you're not talking to me. I know you're not talking to me. I don't need your help. That's us though. So go back to Proverbs. Whoever had Proverbs chapter 23 and read verse 16.
Proverbs 23 and 16. Yea, my reins shall rejoice.
Reins, that word reins in the Hebrew is kidneys. But the kidneys is a metaphor. It's the metaphor for emotions or affection, what you're affectionate about, what you care about, and it also means the interior self. It's the mind of a person. It's the interior of a person. The way a person operates on the inside. It's the inside of a man. It's the inside mind of a man. So read it again.
God, Proverbs 23 and 16. Yea, my reins shall rejoice.
So the Most High said he's more affectionate, and he's more affectionate, and it brings him joy. For what?
When thy lips speak right things.
It says when you learn how to speak what?
Correctly.
Correctly.
But it's correct based off of the Most High's judgment, not based off of my judgment. Is my speech correct according to the Most High? Not based off of my tonality or my wording or how I say things or how eloquent it sounds. But is it correct according to the Most High's words? Does it match the scriptures?
Yeah, that's what that's what brings the Most High joy. When you learn how to talk to people the right way, that makes the Most High actually rejoice. When you learn how to talk to people, we learn how to talk to people. And we learn how to endure instruction and receive correction. It actually rejoices the Father. He says, and you know that they've been raised right. He says, once again, because you can tell by the way they what?
Speak.
By the way they speak. Your communication to people declares whether you've been instructed correctly. When you don't know how to talk to people, it just shows that you haven't been instructed correctly. When you don't know how to make the most out of a situation and bring peace to a situation, it just shows you haven't been instructed correctly. You need more instruction. Your communication is evidence of the fact that you still need some training. And if you can be honest with yourself, and recognize the fact that your mouth is troublesome, your speech is troublesome, the way you talk to people is troublesome, then you should be asking for more advice on how to change yourself. You should be asking people around you, what do I need to do to become better in my communication? How? What? Because this is what's hindering you. This is what's keeping you from being pleased by the Most High. It causes the Most High not to rejoice. It's the way you talk. The fact of the matter is, our speech is evidence that we're handicapped somewhere, intellectually. That we're handicapped spiritually, not physically. That there's a spiritual handicap, an intellectual handicap.
Yeah.
There's signs of sickness, and it's determined by how I talk to people. If we're honest with each other, we know we don't say the right things to people, and we don't know how to make relationships prosper, and we don't know how to make situations become at peace. We don't know how to bring peace if we're honest with ourselves. So that's one reason why we have to embrace what the Most High is got us going through. Let me get this right here. Ecclesiastes, I called it earlier, chapter 30, verse 7.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 7.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 7, page 88. He that maketh too much of his son.
You can raise a child right, or you can raise a child wrong. There's two ways to bring somebody up. You can correct them, like the scriptures say, or you can make too much of them. What does that mean? What does that mean when you make too much of your kids? You spoil them. What else? How can somebody make too much of their kids? Their kids are never what? They're never wrong. Their kids are never wrong. You know why? You know why a child would think? I mean, a parent would think that their child is never wrong, because if their child is wrong, who do they reflect? Them. You know why my child is never wrong? Because if my child is wrong, it makes me look bad. Why do parents go to the school and argue with the principal and the teachers? It didn't used to be that way. It used to be in the 80s that if you got a call, that if a parent got a phone call, 70s or 80s, it used to be in the past that if a parent got a phone call from a school and saying you was acting up and you got to come get your child, and you know every dollar counts, especially during the Reagan era.
Yeah.
During the Reagan era, black and Hispanics wasn't making no money. I'm just telling you that right now. Jobs was hard to come by. You wasn't making no money in the 80s, early 80s. In the Reagan era, it was trickle-down economics. The rich ate, and then the poor got the crumbs. That's how the economy was created. In the 80s, so your parents had to leave work on a $5. Does anybody remember what minimum wage was in 85?
Yeah.
What was it?
I think $3.35 an hour.
$3.35 an hour? Damn, you hit that off the head. Pull that out of dead air. Right? You're like an encyclopedia. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I do remember when minimum wage in 1992, I do remember minimum wage in 92 was $4.35. It was $4.15 an hour. It was $4.15 in 1992, and then they bumped it up. Man, Ahmad is like a economist, a biblical economist. What you got? Dawiya Googled it. What does it say?
I Googlized it out. It says
Googlized it?
1985, the federal minimum wage was $3.35.
Man, you gotta get Ahmad out of applause on that one. Right? Where you pull that from, brother? That's in that Rolodex.
When I started working, that was my first wage.
Damn, that brother hit on the head, bro. Think about this. Your parents making $3.35 an hour, and you got to leave your job to go get them because they acted up at school.
It says until 1990.
Damn. For 5 years, making $3. I'm telling you, bro, wasn't making no money in the 80s.
Wow.
They're only getting $3. What you gonna do with $3 an hour for a whole hour of work? What you gonna do with that? That's crumbs. That is crumbs, man. So they gotta leave work to come get you and miss out on that $3. Every dollar counts at that point. Do you think they're gonna argue with the teacher? Do you think they're gonna fight with the principal? Who you think gonna get it when they get to that school? You gonna get it. You gonna get it because you deserved it. And that's how it used to be in the past. You know what? First of all, I taught you better than this. And you're not gonna make me look bad in public. And you're not gonna act like you don't have any sense.
Yeah.
You're not gonna pretend like you don't know no better. And you're not gonna make us look bad. You're gonna make yourself look bad. You're not gonna embarrass me. I'm gonna embarrass you. I remember getting whooped at school.
Yeah.
For that same reason. You want to act out in front of your friends? You'll get whooped in front of your friends.
Oh, man.
I got whooped and everybody laughing. Look how he dancing. You know why? You deserve it. But nowadays, because parents' pride is so involved, and their pride is in the way, they think their kids are right. They don't even check their kids. Read it again.
Ecclesiastes chapter 30 and verse 7. He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wound.
What do? You make excuses for them. You make excuses for your children. He's just having a bad month. He's just having a bad month. He's having a bad time. He ain't been sleeping enough. He doesn't normally act like this. Yes, he does. He acts like that at home too. It just finally get out in the public and it's embarrassing. It's making you feel bad. So therefore, now you want to make excuses for your child. You can't make excuses for your child and expect your child to become anybody significant. If you love your children, you'll do what? You'll chastise them. You'll correct them. It's love. There won't be anybody if you don't check them. Read.
It says, "He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wound, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry."
And you know what? Because you make excuses for that child and you cover up their deficiencies and their weaknesses, and you don't want to correct them, they'll be a laughing stock to you later. They'll be an embarrassment to you later. Their decisions will be an embarrassment to you. Their behavior will embarrass you later. You only got a certain window to instruct people before they get out of control. It's best to do it when they're young and get out whatever deficiencies that they have in their youth. The problem is, we're in a congregation and we're here with a bunch of sick folk. You know, the truth of it is, our congregation is made up of individuals that didn't get it right. They may have not got the home training. They may have not got the proper instruction. If we can be honest with ourselves, we're made up of a congregation of people in need that have deficiencies. So why shouldn't I admit them? Why should not I embrace correction if I know I'm in a congregation of people that obviously didn't get the proper training in their upbringing? Then obviously I'm here for help. The whole need not of what?
Physician, but the sick.
But the sick. So I should know, hey man, you know what? That's what I'm here for. Obviously I missed something growing up. Obviously wisdom went over my head. Or I was too rebellious as a child to get any instruction. Let me go ahead and open myself up and ask questions. Let me figure out what help do I need to be better. Read on.
Verse 8. "And horse not broken becometh headstrong."
You only have a little bit of time to get a child of mind and to be at their best and put the best into them, invest into them. He says if you leave them alone, you make excuses for people, and you don't correct them, they become what?
Headstrong.
They become what?
Headstrong.
What does that mean? What you got?
Headstrong, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1.
Somebody get Proverbs chapter 19, verse 13 after that definition.
Headstrong, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. It says, violent.
It says, if you don't correct them while you have opportunity,
You have a chance.
while you have a chance, your children become what?
Violent.
What else?
Obstinate.
Obstinate what? Stubborn.
Wow.
What else?
Ungovernable.
And they become what?
Ungovernable.
They become ungovernable. You can't control them. You can't tell them anything. That's some of the downsides of not giving children correction. You can't govern them. You can't rule them. You can't guide them. You can't instruct them. And then when they slip through the cracks in life, they fall into the camp hands. And this is where all the ungovernable people go. Because that's where we are. This is where they end up. They have in a camp, in a school environment to learn how to rescind all the deficiencies that they possessed since they were children. And how to turn back the clocks in the hands of time and go back and make up for all the things they didn't do right. That's what we're here for. That's why I'm here. I know that's for a fact.
Yeah, me too.
I know that for a fact. I know I wasn't raised correctly. And I know I was rebellious as hell. I know I didn't listen to anybody. And I know I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I am most definitely in need of everything that this truth has taught me.
It saved us. Really.
It is safe. It is a life-saving change in our lives. I know why I'm here. I didn't know what the hell I was doing in the world. I was a fool in the making. A clown. Full of mistakes. I know I am well aware of I am not the creme de la creme in life. I was not living my best life. I was living a diseased, infected life full of pride, ignorance, and foolishness. With all kind of vices and negative attachments and weaknesses and stubbornness. But if you don't get a child in that moldable opportunity where they're still like a sponge, if you don't get and put something into them, they grow to the point where what? He said they become headstrong, which means what?
Violent. Obstinate. Ungovernable. Resolute to run his own way.
It says they're resolute to run their what?
His own way.
They're gonna be adults that you cannot tell them anything, and they're gonna do what the hell they want to do. And that's what you get on your hands if you don't understand the benefits of correction. If you do not implement correction, you get adults, young adults and old adults that you cannot tell them anything. They're going to do what they want to do. What's going to happen? Read that right there in Proverbs.
Proverbs 19 and 13. A foolish son is a calamity of his father.
You know what calamity means? A misery.
Mm.
You know what happens when you become an adult and you never got correction? What do you become to your parents?
A calamity to his father.
You make your parents' lives, you make your mother and father's lives miserable. Ask your mother and father if they're proud of you. Before the truth. Ask them. Ask them, Mom, do I make you proud? Dad, do I make you proud? If they say proud of what? It wasn't anything that you did. It wasn't because you was the favorite. Because they looked at your life and the mistakes that you made. I'm just joking. You ain't got to ask them. You should ask yourself. Don't ask him. Because some of us are going to take that literally. Be like, make the phone calls after class. Be like, Dad, do I make you proud? I just want to know. Are you miserable? I make you miserable or I make you happy? Which one is it? But you know what? He's saying that if you headstrong, stubborn, violent, and you tend to run your own course, you're not going to make your parents happy. They're not going to rejoice in you. They're going to say, why you asking me these questions? Why you want to know? They're running from the answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus 3 and 14. Ecclesiasticus 3 and 14.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 14. For the relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten.
The relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten. The Most High actually, a part of his perspective on us is how we take the pressure off of our parents. A part of his perspective on us is how we take the pressure off of our spiritual parents too. We're supposed to take some of the pressure off our spiritual parents. Some of the pressure off our physical parents.
What's the pressure? When you speak of the pressure, what do you mean?
The pressure is the constant worry, the constant stress, the fear of loss behind this person's unpredictable actions. When I'm unpredictable or my actions are constantly losses that cost finances, cost time, cost worry, and my actions are life endangering, or I'm a liability. Liability means that I bring debts back to my parents. All my mistakes, they got to carry my mistakes. Now mama has to handle my mistakes. Now dad has to handle my mistakes. Or now the elders class counselors got to handle, they got to solve my messes. They got to clean up my mess. Some messes can be cleaned and some messes can't. But the problem is a true counselor, a true parent is going to attach your failures to them. You're a reflection of their tutelage. So a part of that pressure and burden is that when you fail, it's as if they fail. And that's not a relief. As a person ages, they want to kind of rejoice in the good around them. My kids are coming out well.
What if they still bailing you out of jail?
Listen, bro. That's not relief.
What if you're 40 and they still loaning you money?
That's not relief.
What if they still sleeping on your couch at 30?
That's not relief. That's not a relieving of the parents.
What about at 50 they taking your kids off your hands?
Listen, bro, that's not.
And they in their 70s and 80s.
That's not relief.
They still got to change diapers.
The Most High is judging that. He's judging them. Do you make your parent situation better because you're a wise daughter, a wise son, and you make good decisions, or are you adding to their plate of responsibility, of liability, of debts, of time, of their time being extracted? They can't enjoy the relationship. They can't enjoy their house. They can't enjoy their age. They gotta be 20 years old again. They gotta raise babies again. They gotta go back. They gotta get a third, fourth, fifth job to carry.
Yeah, they got 2 jobs.
They got one job for their household, another job for our personal. I owe $100,000 in a bond.
Yeah.
Hey, mama, you know
I need bail money.
I need bail money. I need probation money. I got all these traffic tickets. I owe 3,000 traffic tickets. I know I can't drive, mama. You gotta help me out. I can't keep my license. I'm on child support. Can you pay my child support this month, mama?
Yeah, can you take care of me?
Mama, you got my child support? What you got this child support?
Yeah, I'm about to go to jail.
I'm about to go to jail. Can you bail me out? I'm finna go in. I gotta turn myself in, mama. Can you bail me out? These things.
Can you put some money on my books?
Can you put some money on my books? Or mama, I'm in debt because I just blew money. I ran credit cards up. I ran it up on Visa. I can't pay it off. Can you pay it off? These type of stressors, aged people don't get to enjoy their older age. Read it again from the top.
Ecclesiastes 3:14. For the relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten.
But a wise son, a wise daughter that follows counsel, that took correction, they're the vessel that has that smell of their environment, the good of their environment, the good of their parents, the good of their neighborhood, the good of the people around, the good of the aged. That vessel, read.
Con. And instead of sins.
Instead of what?
Instead of sins.
Mistakes. Read.
It shall be added to build thee up.
It should be added to build you up. Everything, all the corrections you got, built you up. All the changes you went through, built you up. The adversity and responsibility you accepted, built you up.
How you made their life easier on them was to your benefit. How do we know this? I'm going to say this again. Like I just brought out. The fact that you were a studious child and one that followed instruction and helped alleviate the burden off their shoulders of having to take care of your mistakes, it added to build you up later. How do you know this? Go to Ecclesiastes 33 and read verse 22. Hold that right there. We'll get to this in a second. Ecclesiastes chapter 33, verse 22.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, verse 22.
Read that.
It says, "In all thy works, keep to thyself the preeminence.
Read on.
Leave not a stain in thine honor."
You know how it benefits you later? Because your parents do not want to stain on what?
Your honor.
They don't want to stain on their honor. They do not want to stain on their honor. Some children could be a stain on a parent's honor. How do you know this? And when do you know this? Read on.
Verse 23. "At the time when thou shalt end thy days and finish thy life, distribute thine inheritance."
It says, when they get older and they pass away and they leave an inheritance, the inheritance will declare whether you were a stain on their honor or not. When it's time to distribute whatever they built and they're willing to leave it behind, and it's time to leave what they worked for behind, you know whether you were a stain on their honor or not. It happens all the time. When you're at the probate court and you wonder why your younger sister got the house and you got kitchen appliances.
Oh, it's too. The white turned yellow over time.
You got pots and pans, but your younger sister got the whole house. How and when do you know that you was a stain on their honor? Because it's at the time of that inheritance. When it's time to distribute out everything that they work for, you get the kitchen appliances, which is a message, really. And they need to be cooking. That's what they're trying to tell you. Get in that kitchen, woman. Get in that kitchen, girl. You need to get in that kitchen. I left you these pots and pans so you can get in that kitchen. But your younger sister got the whole house. Or your brother got all the jewelry, all the pictures, and you got the work tools and dad's work boots. He left his work clothes back to you. What is he trying to tell you? Why did he write this in the inheritance? All I got is some work boots and some work clothes. How do I know I was a stain on his honor? You'll know it when it's time for that inheritance to come out. You'll know how they look at you. We may not think about these things, and that may be a new thought or a new reality coming in our minds. But you know if you was a burden to your parents or not, because they know who they trust. They know who they're not going to leave that whole house to. They know who they're not going to leave that car to. Or the most valuable things, or the most precious things, or the most sentimental things. They know it's not coming to you. They'll bypass you and look at the other child. They'll look at the younger individual and say maybe he got it together. Maybe she got it together. But I can't leave nothing real valuable because I've seen how this child carries themselves. I've seen how this child operates in life, even with their own possessions, even with their own substance. So you think a parent just going to drop everything they worked hard for in an irresponsible child's hands? This is how you'll know when and how they look at you, whether you was a stain on their honor or not. You know, it was a time when you go to Exodus 25 and read about Jacob and Esau, when a parent's blessing meant something. So you read about in Genesis 27, you read about Jacob tricking his father and dressing up in a whole costume to get his father's blessing. Matter of fact, read that real quick.
That's a lot to get the blessing.
A blessing from a parent actually meant something.
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 27. Let me get it first. Just go straight to the point. Read verse 18. Genesis chapter 27, verse 18.
Genesis 27 and 18.
This is the time that it'll show you how our forefathers looked at a blessing from a parent. And making sure we got our parents' blessings when it meant something, to make sure I'm dealing with my parents appropriately. And I'm not causing my parents no problems. And I'm not putting no stain on their honor. A blessing means something. Read that.
And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn.
He was lying. He said, I'm Esau, thy firstborn. Read.
And have done according as thou badest me.
And I did everything you told me to do. I did exactly what you wanted. I performed your wishes. Read on.
Arise, I pray thee. Sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me.
He said, I did everything that you told me to do and enjoy what I've done for you so that you can what?
That thy soul may bless me.
Because this is when a blessing from a parent actually meant something. When a child didn't want to be a stain on a parent's honor. When a child didn't want to make a parent look bad or put their burdens on their shoulders. When they actually cared about being a reflection of some good home appropriate training. That I got a good head on my shoulders. I'm a reflection of that. This is when a blessing actually mattered. Read.
Verse 20. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son?
How did you go get that food so quickly, my son? Read.
And he said, Because the Lord thy power brought it to me.
Read.
And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee.
He said, Come near, my son. I pray thee that I may feel thee. Read.
My son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not.
Did Isaac just believe that Jacob was who he said he was?
No.
That he was Esau? He was suspicious, man. He like, man, he said something ain't right, man. Come over here. This ain't like Esau. He said, I need you to come a little closer. I need to feel you. I need to touch you. Read.
Verse 22. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, the voice is Jacob's voice.
He said, I know Jacob's voice. He said, man, you sound like Jacob. He said, man, you trying to trick me. Obviously, Isaac's eyes were dim already. Obviously, Isaac couldn't see. He was old. He said, man, you trying to trick me. Your voice is Jacob's voice. Read.
But the hands are the hands of Esau.
But that goat skin, that's Esau, man.
Rough goat.
That rough goat, that hairy goat. He said, I know Esau when I feel him. He said, but you sound like Jacob. Something ain't right. Read on.
23. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, and his brother Esau's hand as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him.
So he what?
So he blessed him.
So a blessing meant so much from a child that Jacob tricked his parents out of a blessing. That's how bad a child wants to get a parent's approval. Not us. We don't care about how, in actuality, our parents actually look at us. Did we make their lives actually easier? Did we lift off the burdens off their shoulder and became appropriate children, God-fearing children? Or they still having to cover for us at a later age in life? And still got to pamper us and still got to fix our mistakes later in life? There's a time we actually cared about a blessing. Jump down to 28 and 29.
Verse 28. Therefore the Most High give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee.
He said, listen, man, this is how the Most High looks at us. Do you actually care about making your parents look good? Do you actually care of the fact that you don't want to be a stain on your folks' honor? That you actually got some sense? And that you were trained right? And you were brought up right? Does that matter to us? Is it important that we make them in their latter age be joyous and proud of what they raised and proud of what they invested in? You got a blessing on the other side of it. Because if you read what Dawiyat read in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, it'll tell you in that chapter you got a blessing coming. If it matters. There was a time when it mattered. Read on.
Verse 29. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
You know why we still get blessed to this day? We still get blessed to this very day as the children of Israel.
Yeah.
Because of it being important to Jacob to get his father's blessing. That's why even to this day, our generations are blessed because it mattered to this man that he got his father's approval. We're still reaping the benefits of this man caring enough to get his father's blessing. But you'll know, like I said, you'll know when, if you was a stain on your parents' honor, when it's time to distribute the inheritance. Because you know why parents would rather give their money away than to give it to a child that didn't bring them no joy? Because they don't want it to be wasted. This is why you see it so many times where parents will write their kids out of a will. Because you never made me proud. Here's the proof of it. Go to Proverbs chapter 17. Read verse 2.
Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 2. A wise servant shall have rule over a son that causes shame.
It says, a wise servant, a parent would rather give it to a family friend. or a person that was more trustworthy. Not even blood. A parent would rather give what they had in store and what they worked hard for and pass it down to a stranger, not a stranger, somebody outside the family that they trust, than actually give their inheritance to a child that's been a shame in their behavior. I'd rather give it to somebody else. It says a wise servant shall have what?
Rule over a son that causes shame.
So yeah, if a child is a son that causes shame, see, them parents be like, man, I'm gonna make sure that I'm not leaving these valuables and these sentimental items to somebody that bring me shame. I'm gonna make sure I got whatever I built. I'm passing that down to somebody else. I'll go outside the family. Read on.
And shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren.
It says, and this outside person that's not blood shall have part of what?
Of the inheritance among the brethren.
And he'll be treated as if he was what?
A brother.
As if he'll have same equal opportunity to the inheritance, and he ain't even blood. Why is that? Because people trust who they know who've been obedient. But if I've not been obedient, because I don't listen to instruction, I don't listen to advice, I don't listen to counsel, then I'll know at that point if I've left a stain on my parents' honor. Because time will tell. And when they handing all the valuables out and such gets the cars and the houses and the whatever's in the safe deposit box at the bank, the deeds to the property or the land rights or the mineral rights, you'll know who they looked at as responsible. Because I wasn't one to have my ears open. I wasn't one to listen and follow instructions. I was one to bring more shame than anything. Read this right here. But it's no different from a we're reading this dynamic from a family. But it's no different from a church. The church dynamic is not different from a family dynamic. Read this right here. It says the sinners must be diligently dealt with by the church. No, wait a minute. Yeah, read this right here. Okay. The effects of the church. Yeah, sinners. Read that part of it. Sinners must be different.
Sinners must be differently dealt with by the church.
Read on.
The effects of the church. Sloppy. The effects of church censors.
Censors is when you silence somebody or you correct somebody. When somebody has to get chastised or checked. That's what censor is. Somebody gets chastised or checked. In a church environment, when somebody gets chastised or checked. Read on.
This is the effects of church censors are very different.
Go ahead.
Some are thereby humbled.
It says in the church environment, you could check a man and this man becomes what?
Humbled.
It's in a church environment. Sometimes when somebody is obstinate in heart, they're stubborn and you can't tell them nothing. In a church environment, you could check them and they become humble. But it's not always that way. Everybody's different in the church. Some you could check and boom, man, they humble down. Give me the verse that says, correction in a wise man is better than 100 strokes. Give me that verse.
From Proverbs 17:10.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Read that.
Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 10. It says, a reproof enters more into a wise man.
It says, reproof, correction will enter more into a wise man. Read on.
Than 100 stripes into a fool.
So you can whoop a fool 100 times and he still don't get the point. He said, but if you check a wise man, it'll mean more to him. It'll cut harder than 100 stripes on a fool's back. So some in a church environment, some men that have been raised right or have some type of ability to be humble, you could check them and they humble down and they embrace the correction. But read on in that.
The effects of church censors are very different. Some are thereby humbled and brought to repentance, so that their good works are manifest beforehand.
So they humble down and repent, so you can tell by their actions and their humility that they actually want to be better. But that's not always the way that's going to happen in a church. Read on.
While it is quite otherwise with others.
Go ahead.
The
incorrigible and incorrigible.
Okay.
Get that definition, Karai. Incorrigible. INCORRIGIBLE.
Fine. Incorrigible. 1828, Webster Dictionary. It says, that cannot be corrected.
It says, but some in a church cannot be what?
Corrected.
Some people in the church environment, I don't know, maybe it's due to their upbringing, maybe it's due to their pride, but for some in the church, you can't correct them. You can't tell them what to do. You can't steer them, you can't guide them. Maybe it's the parents' fault. Maybe it's from their home, from their household. Maybe they learned that from the household. Maybe they didn't get enough correction at home. He said, but in a church, some are what?
Incorrigible or
incorrigible. Read that, Kariah.
Incorrigible. That cannot be corrected or amended.
It says you can't correct them, you can't amend them. Read on.
It says too depraved to be corrected or reformed.
Read from the top.
It says that cannot be corrected or amended. Bad beyond correction.
That's what I wanted. Some people in the church are bad beyond what?
Correction.
Some people in the church, man, no matter what you do, you're trying to steer them. You're trying to govern them. They just don't want to listen. Did they get that from their parents? Because if you ask their parents going to say, no, that is not how I raised them. That is not how I brought them up. I didn't teach them that. That wasn't my example. So where do we get it from? You know where we get it from? Back to Ecclesiastes 30. In that verse 30, verse 7. No, verse 8.
Ecclesiastes 30 and verse 8.
Yeah, verse 8.
On a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful.
And a child left to himself will become what?
Willful.
It will become willful. If you don't monitor correction appropriately, that child will become bad beyond correction. You have to know how to administer correction appropriately, because otherwise you can't tell them what to do at a later date. You'll never be able to control them. He said in these individuals, he calls it uncorrigible, meaning they're bad beyond correction. What else in this Matthew Henry?
The incorrigible cannot be hid. The incorrigible cannot be hid.
It says you cannot hide these individuals in a church environment. They stick out in a church environment. Some of us stick out like sore thumbs in a church environment because of our inability to be corrected. But the problem is we were left to our lonesome too long. We were left alone too long. That's the problem. Somebody left us by ourselves too long, or we wanted to be alone too long. And if you are by yourself too long, you will develop a headstrong nature to where nobody can tell you anything. And then when you get into a camp and you get into a church environment, you stick out like a sore thumb. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? It may not have come from your parents. It came from you. Maybe you wanted to do what you want to do. Or it could have been from your parents. Not putting enough correction on you. Not putting enough discipline on you. Not putting enough oversight on you. Not giving you enough instruction. It could be also. But for some reason, even in a church environment, there will be individuals that you can check and some you cannot. And that's why being an elder is very similar to being a parent. Parentalship and leadership are one and the same. They're not very different at all. If they didn't get it as kids, they got to get it as adults. Whatever they didn't learn at the house when they were growing up, you got to give it to them in the church. It's one and the same. They're not much different. You're going to be dealing with headstrong individuals. But we got to make sure that correction is a necessary tool. When I don't have this in a camp environment and I'm by myself, I'm missing out on these things. I'm missing out on this instruction in life. Give me this right here. Finish this in Proverbs chapter 23. Finish Proverbs chapter 23. And jump down to 22.
Proverbs 23 and 22.
Read that.
Hearken unto thy father that begat thee.
That's why it said, listen to your father that begat you. We have to almost turn the clock back. If we didn't listen to our physical fathers, now we got to listen to our spiritual fathers. We got to follow those that take oversight over our spirit. Read on.
22, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And despise not thy mother when she is old.
Go ahead.
But buy the truth and sell it not.
If you're not the best child, if you can admit you haven't been the best child, and maybe you haven't been making your parents proud, and you've lived an error-filled life, and maybe you did leave a stain on their honor. Maybe you did some things that can cause an embarrassment to them, that they're not so proud about you, and you've been a burden and a worry to them in your life by your actions and your behavior. For this reason, you should do what? He said, buy the what?
Buy the truth.
It says, if you've been an embarrassment to your family, you better buy the what?
The truth.
That means you better purchase and fully commit to what?
The truth.
You better come all the way in the truth. Because, well, let me just read on. He said, buy the truth.
And sell it not.
You better buy the truth and don't sell it. Because it's the only other form of correction that you're going to get. It's the only other form of discipline you're going to get that's beneficial to your spirit. You've already bypassed that which comes by way of your parents. You've already denied that. You've already lived a contrary life to that. So the only best alternative that you have is to do what?
Buy the truth.
But if you can't say I made my parents proud, you better dive head first, straight off the diving board into this truth. If you really haven't made anything of yourself that can make your parents say I'm proud of you, well done, my good and faithful servant. This is my beloved son. You know the only thing that we have left that can make our parents proud? This truth.
Yeah. It's the last thing.
There's nothing else you can do in this life. You think you can make money, you can make your parents happy. It's not going to make the problems disappear. And you still be unfulfilled. And they still won't trust you. But our best bet, especially knowing that we haven't been good kids, and we didn't care so much about our parents' blessing, our best bet is to jump straight into this truth and get the most out of this truth and all the discipline that comes with it, all the correction that comes with it. He said, buy the truth and do what?
And sell it not.
Read.
And all wisdom and instruction, also wisdom and instruction.
And you should get what with this truth?
Also wisdom.
You should be getting as much wisdom in this truth as you can get. What else?
And instruction.
And you should be open to all the instruction that comes your way. If you can be honest with yourself, that you haven't been the best child that you could be. And you haven't demonstrated appropriate home training that your parents could be proud of.
I'm deficient in ethics.
Yeah.
And my ethics are being exposed. The world does expose what ethics you didn't submit to or learn or know about.
Yeah. Last verse. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 20.
God.
Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 20. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 20. A wise son maketh a glad father.
It says a wise son will do what?
Maketh a glad father.
If you haven't lived a life to make your parents proud, jump into this truth and get all the things that you may have missed. You missed instruction. You missed counsel. You missed advice. You missed appropriate behavior. You missed listening. You missed a lot of things. We missed a lot of things. Being in order, learning how to be obedient, learning how to follow counsel, learning how to trust. We missed a lot of things. You should care about how your parents look at you. And you should care about getting a blessing like Jacob did. And you should care about making sure you're not a stain on their honor. And the only way to do that is get more in this truth. Read. He said, read that again, Quran.
Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 20. A wise son maketh a glad father.
Go ahead.
But a foolish man.
It said, but a what?
But a foolish man.
Go ahead.
Despiseth his mother.
You don't care about how they look at you. You don't care about how they feel about you. You know what alleviates? You know what alleviates the worry and the shame of parents? That I had it earlier. I just want to go straight to it. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Read verse verse 6.
Ecclesiastes 3 and 6. He that honoreth his father shall have a long life, and he that is obedient unto the Lord shall be a comfort to his mother.
You know what helps take away the shame of your mother? The fact that regardless of what you did in your life and the mistakes that you made in your life, the fact that you have a healthy fear of the Lord. And it takes all the worry away because they know you're going to be all right. They know you're obedient to the Most High. That's what takes away the stress and the anxiety off of mother's shoulders. Yeah. She don't got to worry about you anymore because she knows you're in a good place. Your father don't have to worry about you anymore because he knows you're in a good environment. You take the worry off. And then that you can do to give them something to be proud of. So when they friends say, hey, man, I thought you had 5 kids, man. Where your kids at? Didn't you have 2 boys and a girl? You only keep talking about 2 of them, though. How come you never talk about your third? Didn't you have 3? Yeah, I had 3. Where the third one at? I remember the third one. Oh, yeah, he's figuring it out. Like, damn, ain't he like 50? Ain't he like 40?
Still figuring it out.
He's still figuring it out? You never talk about that child. How come the parents never talk about that one?
That's the Hunter Biden right there.
Yeah. Never talk about that child. They always leave that child out the conversation. They ain't proud of you. But you know what? When you fear the Most High, they do.
God.
Oh, my child is constantly studying. He's a child of the Most High God.
Yeah.
He's in the book constantly. He's around a good body of people. And if anything happened to me, I have nothing to worry about because I know he's in the right place.
He's in a spiritual program.
He's in a spiritual program. He's in a body of believers. He's working with the church.
Yeah.
And he does. He's a minister of the Most High. He's a minister of the church. And he's one to do good deeds and put good deeds and God over everything.
That is a relief.
That's a relief to a parent. But read that last verse again. Last verse.
Tom. Ecclesiastes 3 and 6.
No, not Ecclesiastes.
Proverbs.
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 20. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother.
Man. Finish that down in Proverbs. Finish that in Proverbs 23. 25 and 26.
So 23 and 25?
Yeah. Chapter 23, verse 25 and 26. We ended with that because we was reading that. I hope it makes sense, man.
Proverbs 23 and 25.
Read that.
Thy father and thy mother shall be glad.
It said when you get the right training and you adhere to biblical principles and you start adopting an open mind for instruction and you let people steer you and govern you and you're not a slave to your opinion and you don't listen to your feelings and your emotions and you allow the Most High to implant wisdom and instruction and knowledge into you. Read.
Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice.
It says you got a mother that will do what? Rejoice. Man. They can live out their life in peace, knowing that my child is in a good space. He's right with the Most High. She's right with the Most High. I don't got nothing to worry about. Cause you know, I gotta bring this up, man. I gotta bring this up. Go to Proverbs 23. Jump back up to 13. Because they had a job to do. I got to bring this up.
Verse 13.
Yeah.
Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die.
Read on.
Thou shalt beat him with the rod.
It says a parent has a job to do while the child is on earth and while they're on earth. Read on.
Thou shalt beat him with the rod and shall deliver his soul from hell.
What is a parent's job?
Deliver his soul from hell.
What is a parent's job?
Deliver his soul from hell.
So where's the best place you could be so that your parents can know that they did their job? And the truth. Because that's their job. But parents may not know it or not, but the Bible tell you what their job is. The job was to get your soul out of hell. Deliver your soul out of hell. That was a parent's job. So that's why when they know you're in the truth, that's why they know they did their job. However way you got here, whether it was by their example or not, but as long as they know you're here, they know they did their job and they can rest well. Because they know they don't got to worry about my son's soul. But the other kids, though, they got to worry about. But they don't got to worry about you. They got to worry about where your spirit is at. Because they know they know deep down inside I did my job. I delivered my children's soul from hell. Because that was my job. So now go back up to 25 and 26.
Verse 25. Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice.
Yeah, when they know they ain't got to worry about your spirit. Read on.
My son, give me thine heart, and let thine eyes observe my way.
That's why the Most High said, listen, give me your mind. Everybody in here should be receptive to thinking like the Most High and learning how the Most High thinks. So at least your parents can walk out this earth and say, I did my job. Because that was their job. And that's why the Most High said, open up your mind and listen to what I have to give you. Read on.
Verse 27.
Stop. That's it. Let it go. Any questions? All right. With that, we're going to say shalom. The water for watching. I hope it made sense. We will not have class. I don't think we're having class on Friday. No, we're not having class on Friday. No, I don't think so. We will have class again because we're leaving for the Passover. So no, we might have class on Friday. Just no Sabbath class. I gotta ask War if we're gonna have class on Friday. Okay, we got class on Friday. No, wait.
We got double ask.
We gotta ask just to be sure. We got Spanish class.
Oh.
No, we have class on Friday, possibly yes. Just no class on the Sabbath and no class on Monday. We'll be back next Wednesday. All right, we'll make sure that's scheduled. With that, we're gonna say shalom to water for watching, to water everybody for class. Get home safe. All right. Go and sign out. Shalom, y'all. Shalom, everybody.